how I feel. I want to drive you through the night, down the hills. I gotta tell you something you don't want to hear. I'm gonna show you where it's dark, but have no fear.
There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy, but you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy, but you're still the same.
I'm giving you a night call to tell you how I feel. I want to drive you through the night, down the hills. I gotta tell you something you don't want to hear. I'm gonna show you where it's dark, but have no fear.
There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy, but you're still the same. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy, but you're still the same. There's something inside you. There's something inside you. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. They're talking about you, boy, but you're still the same.
soon, soon, soon. The one to come and free me from this fate. I'll find her, it's not too late. Every time the moon shines, I become alive. Yeah, and every time the moon shines, I become alive. Yeah, I'm a beast in the night. I'm on the prowl while I'm hoping to find some light. You call it heaven, nothing do we feel the same. Ain't nothing wrong, I'll be feasting on something brave. Ay, a sexy lady who's pure, she has the cure. I hope she can find a man within the beast. And I hope she saves me from the curse I have to be. Hey, I hope she figures out a way to save my soul. Yeah, to save my heart. Hey, every time the moon shines, I become alive. Yeah, and every time
Well, everybody. Hello. Hello. Oh, that's driving me nuts. Okay, test. Let's see. Hello. There we go. Okay. All right. Classic. Every time. There we go. Okay. There we go. Here we are. It's fucked up. It's not Friday. I just pulled this out of my pocket, by the way. Excuse me. Yeah, no, it is. It's really fucked up. I think it needs to be Friday. Steady Op, thank you for the 18 months. Anon, thank you for the tier 2, 38 months. Other GW, thank you for the 27 months. False Prophet, thank you for the 27 months. Chi, thank you for the tier 1. Kobe's, thank you for the Prime. Melly, thank you for the 3 months. Ooh. Do you have your top 5 movies of 2025? No, not yet. The year's not done. It ain't over. Okay, so the cardigan. The cardigan is from Artist Alley. I wore it for my meet and greet at TwitchCon. It's so cute. It's an Artist Alley sleigh. Will got it for me. I don't remember. Unfortunately, I can't shout out because I don't know where he got it from. But yeah, he got this day one. And thank God, because I also just ran out of clothes. So we got to Sunday of TwitchCon. I was like, well, Draco, thank you for the bits. Here to dethrone the top. Yeah, let's make Hassan poor again. Are you a bad packer? No. So here's what I used to be. I used to be somebody who overpacked, way overpacked. I would just throw so many clothes in a bag. And then I had a friend who worked in fashion who taught me about packing outfits. She was like, every time I go somewhere, I pack outfits. So I started doing that, and now I always underpack. Now I always am like, I always run out of clothes on a trip. I mean, you can rewear things. It's fine, but so I need to find a happy medium. Did you see who Ty West cast in his next film? Yeah. I won't be watching. I shall not be watching. Crusty ass Johnny Depp. Okay, let me just say something too. Here's the thing that flummoxes me. that Johnny Depp continues to get cast because notoriously, aside from the entire Amber Heard thing, his movies do not make money. He is notoriously fucked up and causing issues on set. He doesn't remember his lines. He causes problems. Like, he gets into fights with producers. Yes, he is notoriously difficult, shows up late, is under the influence of drugs and alcohol, derails productions, and his movies don't make money. He's not a box office draw anymore. And he looks horrible. He is so far past his prime. So I'm just like, what are we doing? 2 of his last 3 made under $1 million. Right. So that's what I always look at from just a business side as well. Like with David O. Russell. David O. Russell, who's also a piece of shit. But on top of that, I'm like, why does this man keep getting all of these opportunities when he keeps losing the studio's tens of millions of dollars? He had a solid run in the mid 2000s and has not made a successful film in years. He looks like shit too. Like Jared Leto. Yeah. Roro Helio, thank you for the 33 months. Yeah, so anyway, it's very much in line with the Paramount head's new regime. Politically, it's the traditional Hollywood comeback story. And it's like, where's the comeback? What's the comeback here? What's the comeback? I bet $1 million you'll never guess the 3 billionth movie logged on Letterboxd. Okay, wait, I looked. Oops, I clicked on the link and I looked. I wouldn't have guessed. Jumanji, The Next Level. The 3 billionth movie watched on Netflix or on Letterboxd is Jumanji, The Next Level. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. It's also unfortunate because I like Ty West. I think he's a great director. I've been a fan of his for a long time. Ty is the director. He comes from like the mumblecore kind of genre of directors where he's in a group with like Joe Swanberg, that whole gang. And he did the X Pearl Maxine trilogy, House of the Devil, VHS, You're Next. So he's made a lot of horror films that I actually really like. And I'm just over here thinking, what's going on? Why? Because here's the thing. If someone's a fucking abusive piece of shit, well, unfortunately, plenty of those in Hollywood. But on top of it, it's like, okay, so what's the reasoning? What's the reasoning for hiring them when they are washed up, when they are tanking at the box office over and over and over again, when they are a nightmare on set? So with all of these things against them, why are we still casting and hiring these people to direct movies? And anyway, why are they doing another? Also, why another Christmas Carol? I'm like, how many fucking Christmas carols are we gonna get? We've had every iteration of Christmas Carol. We've had Muppets, which is classic. Okay, like you don't need any. But do you know what I mean? It's like you have the horror-driven Christmas Carol, you have the musical Christmas Carol, you have Mickey Mouse, you have Muppets. There's so many versions of Christmas Carol. I don't know why we need another one. The only exception I allow is the Jennifer Coolidge Christmas Carol. Jennifer Coolidge playing Tiny Tim. Merry Christmas, everyone. It's me, Tiny Tim. We have Scrooge. We have adaptations of Christmas Carol. Yeah, I don't know why we need a Christmas Carol. And then it's like Andrea Riceborough, girl, I love you. I think you're so good. Don't make me regret supporting the To Leslie campaign. Why are you in this movie with Johnny Depp? Why are you doing a Christmas Carol with Johnny Depp? What's going on? Who's your manager?
Tiny Tim?
Tiny Tim, who
Tiny.
did not die.
Oh, isn't that swell? And,
Tiny Tim didn't die. Yeah. Is it Roger? Wait, Robert Eggers is also doing a Christmas Carol? You sure about that? What? Wait. Robert Eggers writing and directing a Christmas Carol for Warner Brothers. Willem Dafoe top choice to star? Hold on. Wait. So we got... Wait. Okay. We're getting not one, but two Christmas Carol movies. And to be honest, one sounds really good. The other does not. Last year, auteur Robert Eggers released his take on the I gotta keep it a buck. I just want something original from Robert Eggers. Go back to the witch era. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Don't be going further down this path, please. Okay, so we have the Robert Eggers version, and he's writing and directing it. Willem Dafoe, his muse, might end up playing Ebenezer Scrooge. And then there's a second Christmas Carol in the works, and with all due respect to writer-director Ty West, I'm not particularly excited for his Paramount project, Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol, which is set to star Johnny Depp, and as of this writing, slated for a late 2026 theatrical release. Not only can we absolutely trust Eggers to breathe new life into such a familiar story, but also West working with Depp is a deeply confounding choice on about 10 different levels. Yes, I agree. Lebretz, thank you for the 3 months. Of course it's fucking Paramount. Yeah. Throughout his career, Robert Eggers has tackled horror, drama, and psychological thrills with movies like The Witch, The Northman, The Lighthouse, and of course Nosferatu. But I feel like it's important to note that he tends to traffic in period pieces, which makes him a really great choice for anything set in Dickensian England. And here's the thing, too. If you have Ty West and Robert Eggers, yes, they're different directors, but they both work in the like horror genre. And so we're getting now 2 Christmas Carol movies by horror directors. But I will take an Eggers version of this over Ty West version with Johnny Depp. We still don't know if Eggers will tap his frequent collaborator Dafoe to play Ebenezer Scrooge, but it would be a phenomenal casting choice. Okay. Ty West is an imaginative director, but putting Johnny Depp in A Christmas Carol doesn't seem like a great move. I don't need to get into the weeds regarding Depp, but suffice to say that the Pirates of the Caribbean star has faced a lot of media scrutiny through the past several years due to a number of issues, including his breathlessly covered legal battle against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. In 2020, Depp dropped out of the Fantastic Beasts franchise where he played Grindelwald and was ultimately replaced by Mads Mikkelsen. And the movies he made not long before and after that, like Black Mass and Minamata, didn't exactly receive much critical acclaim or performed particularly well at the box office. He hasn't died yet. I know every time we get news where it's like, oh, Robert Redford is dead. Oh, Diane Keaton is dead. Oh, it's never Johnny Depp. And I will say, all jokes aside, Johnny Depp is somebody who, with the amount of abuse that he has done to his body through drugs and alcohol, it is one of those things that I just had shivers remembering that photo of his teeth. I can't imagine how he is still going and also still getting hired on jobs. Depp is, for so many reasons, a frankly absurd choice to play Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, yeah, wait. Blah, blah. Basically, all signs point to Depp being a fading star, and that's without even mentioning years of accusations from co-stars about really bad on-set behavior. Yeah, it's just really bizarre. It's really bizarre. I don't get it. Doesn't he famously smell bad as well? Yes. M. Palace, thank you for the 3 months. He's making an original werewolf movie right now. Robert, yeah. Werewolf, werewolf. Story centers around a mysterious creature who stalks a foggy countryside as local folklore becomes a terrifying reality for the villagers. Eggers recently teased it's the darkest thing I've ever written by far. Do you think he means darkest as in the lighting or darkest as in the material being incredibly dark and twisted? Filming is underway in the UK. Production is based out of Sky Studios Elstree with location filming in Dartmoor, Devon. Willem Dafoe, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Lily Rose Depp will star. He loves Willem Dafoe. That is his muse, straight up. And I gotta be so for real. If I were a director, Willem Dafoe would probably also be one of my muses. We got the whole Nosferatu crew back together. Gang's all here. Gang is back together. Have you seen anything on the Chinese film Dead to Rights? I've heard some people calling it the Chinese equivalent to the film Come and See. I haven't. Wait, have I? Dead to Rights Chinese film. Oh, it's about the Nanking Massacre. I have seen a little something on this because China is picking this as their best international feature film submission. Oh, that film is going to be so intense, so harrowing. We'd be going to some Beijing theater productions if we make it to China. Also, funny little tidbit today. I swear to God, every time there's just like all this shit going on in streaming and on the platform, and I'm like, man, I need a break. Man, I need to like get my creative juices flowing. Man, I really wish that I could like have a project outside of just streaming. I swear, I always get a message that's like, hey, there's some interest in your script. It's the script that will never die. It just is the little script that could. And usually I'm like, I can't let myself get excited or have hope. And no. But today I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We're so back. We're so back. Does Farley want out? Yeah, he probably does. Do you want to go outside? I'll let you out. Fuck it. We ball. You want out? Okay. You good boy? Yeah, but anyway, so I'm in my hope and change era. Apparently I mean, I don't want to say much more, one, because I don't want to jinx anything, and two, because when I say I'm in my hope and change era, I'm so cynical. It's like, all right, here we go again. So if something were to happen to that, obviously I would announce to you all with excitement, but I just thought it was funny timing. And I texted to Will, the message I got, and I'm like, are we so back? Hold on a second. Are we gonna make a fucking movie? Are we like so back? I'm gonna be like, they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna make your movie, and I immediately quit streaming, and then they go, oops, just kidding, and then I come back, I'm like, just kidding, guys. JK, that was a funny little prank. April Fools come early. Thank you, Caroline, for always having immaculate vibes. Sorry, what? Deeply appreciate your space. Thank you, Blue Alt. Thank you. So I don't know, y'all. I need some exciting news though. I need something like, it's okay sometimes to be cautiously optimistic and let yourself be excited. This has happened so many times with either this or another project. And after a while, it just, you go, man, I can't go through this again. I can't allow myself to believe, to hope, to get excited. I've been there before, but that's why today, though, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. I'll be excited about it while also not anticipating anything. Have you seen the news that Disney's cutting the villain actors for the parks? What?
Ugly.
Why? They're so good.
You're prettier than Snow White.
Tell me something I don't know.
I don't like the way you call my grandpa a peasant.
Well, I'll call you a peasant as well to make it equal.
Okay, I love this queen. I
Yeah,
love
that
this
totally helps
queen.
the situation. Thank you. It does.
Anytime, my dear. If you need to visit my stepdaughter. Snow White. Trash.
I feel like this is kind of how I sound sometimes. Trash.
You look beautiful.
That makes one of us.
Savage. Look at my baby.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
obviously take
God,
after-
darling. I mean, it's Fashan.
Do you know where Snow White is? Of course.
I gotta be so for real. If these jobs, honestly, once upon a time, I wanted to be I wanted to be a character at a park. They're very competitive. It is not easy to get these jobs. The most I ever came, the closest I came to this was I was like a scarecrow for a Halloween event. That was it.
You're a man, useless.
It's so competitive.
If you bow to me, you look like one of the 7 dwarves without hats.
Also, these people probably have like MFAs, are incredibly trained, talented actors.
You should be honored to breathe the same air. We are! Excuse you.
So good. What a queen. I remember I got a signature from Cruella de Vil, and then she dropped the book on the ground and said, pick it up. Pick it up. They used to be scary. I remember, I haven't been to Disney in so long, but when we were a kid and we went one year, we came to California to visit my grandma, and some of these villains were scary. They're only going to be around during Halloween. What the hell? What is this cost-cutting bullshit? Disneyland parks will no longer feature the evil queen from Snow White and other villains as year-round performers. Villainous characters will return during Halloween season only. This is all to target our diva for outshining her coworkers. I just can't prove it yet. Sorry, is Disney broke? You broke, Disney? You broke? What's going on? Okay, so today, everybody, we are going to talk about, we're going to take a look at what's going on with Warner Brothers and Discovery, because Writers Guild put out a statement. Writers Guild put out a statement that the Paramount Warner Bros merger would be a disaster, which is true. So right now, the big news in the business world is that Warner Brothers Discovery is up for sale. They're like, okay. And yesterday I said, let's do a sub goal. Let's do a sub goal, and then this community buys Warner Brothers Discovery. And Paramount, which just merged with Skydance, which is bad. We've talked about it a lot. And that is owned by the Ellisons. So now they're in charge of Paramount and Skydance. And they have their sights set on Warner Brothers Discovery. But apparently so do, I think, Netflix and some of the other streamers have been eyeing Warner Brothers. And essentially, this is what we don't want. We don't want these constant mergers in the media industry because it's bad. It's bad for competition. It's bad for free speech. It's bad for workers. And as we've already seen, the Warner Brothers Discovery merger was really a disaster. It was really a disaster. Netflix has claimed they're not interested. I mean, I was just reading today. Who knows? I mean, the only one that I've seen for sure put in an offer already and then make it very clear that they're interested in the purchase is Paramount Skydance, is the Ellisons. So yeah, we need to stop these mergers. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about I want to look at that NFL player, that ex-NFL player, Doug Martin, who died in custody, because it is a bizarre story. I took a look at it today, and there's definitely information that's missing that seems very crucial. And we'll talk about the Broadway strike, and then depending how long that takes, we might do something fun after. Found where your cardigan is from. Oh, Gianna draws. Oh my God, I want to order more stuff. I'm in my, you know what? I'm in my cutesy era. So sue me. So cute. I love this cardigan. Thank you, Skeletor. Okay. Wait, you guys are talking about an NBA betting scandal? No. just the latest gambling scheme. See, this is what happens when there are not enough regulations and everything and everyone is getting it twisted. Let me quick look-see poo. Nutty, thank you for the 9 months. Ashley, thank you for 36 months. Trailblazers coach Billups, Miami's Rozier, among over 30 arrested in 2 federal gambling-related investigations. Federal prosecutors said today that more than 30 people have been indicted in 2 illegal gambling-related cases. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, and former NBA player Damon Jones were among those arrested and accused of being involved in one of the schemes. The Lucchese, Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese mafia families were alleged to be involved in backing rigged poker games to scam victims out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Whoop! 3 of the more than 30 defendants are accused of being involved in both the sports betting scheme and the fraudulent gambling scheme. In one of the alleged schemes, poker games were rigged using technology such as chip tray analyzers and an x-ray table that could read cards face down on the table. Oh, this is big. All right.
Individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated
Well, thank God Cash Patel is on the case. Cash Money Patel.
Across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered.
Wait, so Terry Rozier is accused of throwing a game for $200,000.
Rozier turned it over again, having a tough night. And Rozier off the DHO.
No!
Turn it up, but you don't want to play.
No way. No way. That looks like me if I'm playing basketball. That is so bad. Honestly, he might be ass. Yeah, I don't know if it's better if you're just if you're just ass and you're like, oh yeah, I threw the game. I mean, obviously that's it's illegal. You'll get in trouble. But if your excuse is like, I purposely threw the game versus I just really suck. Your Honor, the truth is, I'm just ass. The defense being, Your Honor, I'm simply bad at basketball.
Rozier with a 9-1-1 comes up short. And on barrel. Rozier, a contested three is short. The ultimate teammates get sacrificed.
Oh my God.
Rozier on the show and go. That all year. Empty corner two-man game. Rozier with a three. Anderson with a rebound. Rozier relocates for another try. Well, that was awfully shady. And the meter's still running, Richard.
Okay. Yeah, it is. He's a really good player and a horrible actor. L acting, I have to say.
Block him on the bottom, Caroline. He's doing the same thing I did.
Caroline, no, Caroline.
Caroline, you just shot him.
That's how you. Man, back, baby.
I thought I was red. But you shot twice, Caroline.
Oh my God, I forgot about that stream. He's very good, but when he went to Miami and everything went bad, why is that the case? Why is it that Florida is always at the scene of the crime? Why Florida? What's the deal? The details of how they rigged the gambling ring is straight from a James Bond movie. Okay, here are some of the highlights. Current and former NBA players and coaches, Chauncey Billups, Rozier, and Damon Jones have been arrested. This was an illegal gambling and sports rigging operation. I'm just going to call him Scary Terry. That spanned years across 11 states. In total, 30 individuals have been arrested, including 13 mafia members. Holy shit. The case involves La Cosa Nostra, the Italian mafia. You know who we need to... I'm surprised Curtis Sliwa wasn't on the case here. Where was Curtis? Charges include illegal gambling, wire fraud, and extortion. There are two separate indictments. The first involves 6 defendants accused of participating in a sports corruption scheme that exploited insider information involving NBA players and teams. The defendants leveraged their connections to place prop bets based on confidential insider information, winning tens of thousands of dollars per bet. Okay. The second indictment involves 31 defendants charged with participating in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. Man, this goes deep. Zyron, thank you. Skill Cylinder, thank you. The FBI says they used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The two cases are separate, but there are 3 overlapping defendants, including former NBA player and coach Damon Jones. The FBI says that NBA player Scary Terry told the defendants that he was going to have to leave a game early on March 23rd, 2023 with an injury. So he knew ahead of time that he was going to leave with an injury. Okay. Well, honestly, if it's me, I have bad ankles, so I would probably be saying the same thing. I'd probably be like, you know what, y'all? I'm sure my ankles are going to be taken out. I got some weak ankles over here. The defendants then placed more than $200,000 of wagers on the unders for his prop bets, with Scary Terry leaving the game after 9 minutes. Those bets paid out tens of thousands of dollars in profits, and the defendants and Terry counted the money at his house. The FBI says that former Raptors player John Ty Porter was threatened to participate in the sports gambling scheme because of his gambling debts. Teams that were bet on during the sports gambling scheme include the Charlotte Hornets, Portland Trail Blazers, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Raptors. The rigged poker games occurred in the Hamptons, Miami, Las Vegas, and Manhattan. The poker scheme targeted victims who were lured to participate in rigged poker games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes. Oh, that's how they get you. They're like, do you want to play alongside these former professional athletes? They will steal all of your money, but at least you'll get a pick. Surely the Jets are involved. Wait, is that why the Jets keep losing and why they'll lose by like 1 point? Is there some illegal gambling happening here? Are there some rigged games that are happening here? Your Honor, we're not guilty by reason of being ass. The FBI says that the defendants utilize altered shuffling machines to read the cards in the deck and then relayed that information to an off-site operator. The off-site operator, known as the quarterback, then sent that information to someone at the table. A lot of sports terminology here. The FBI also says that the defendants utilized other cheating technologies, including poker chip trays that read cards through hidden cameras, special contact lenses, and glasses that could read marked cards. What? I didn't even know this stuff was stuff. And X-ray poker tables that could read cards face down. No, there's no way to make money on that bet because they're expected to lose. They'd have to upset and win to make serious money on it. On this? Wait, 200,000 of wagers on the unders? Well, they'd have to upset and win. Wait, why? Oh, you mean the Jets. Oh, I see. Oh, the Jets. Yes. There's no way to make money on the Jets losing. But maybe the reason that the Jets have been losing so much is because there's a years-long, decades-long gambling scheme. You know, maybe if that's found out, then the Jets will start winning again. Okay, here are the glasses. What? Oh, shit! Here's the thing, though. If it were me and I had all these little... I had all this cheating technology, I would still be so obvious. I'd be like... I'm sorry. Can you just hold on for 1 second? I would be so sketchy. I can't cheat. I could never cheat. The FBI says that the defendants, wait. The defendants robbed a victim at gunpoint to acquire a rigged shuffling machine. My God. The sports gambling investigation is called Operation Nothing But Net, while the poker investigation is called Operation Royal Flush. The FBI has been working on this for 4 years, with victims losing at least $7 million. One specific victim lost at least $1.8 million. The FBI reviewed thousands of hours of video evidence and executed more than 24 search warrants. I'm still laughing at Operation Nothing But Net, because isn't the whole thing that there was no net? Isn't it Operation No Net? These are just accusations at this point. I'm just pointing out details from the FBI's investigation. Damn. This is definitely going to be a movie.
And executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal.
You know, Cash Money feels so big boy right now. You know, he's like up here being like, nothing gets past my FBI.
Gambling.
Yeah, Jordan Peele's next movie for sure.
This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure.
This is
the men and women that are standing up here today,
defending the homeland.
worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling.
First, the Louvre gets robbed. Now they're taking down massive mafia rings. What fucking century is it?
It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars.
It's
not tens
millions.
of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this.
Why didn't Kash Patel post all over Twitter? Why didn't he post bullet casings?
This day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms.
I also like that tens of millions is not millions. It's not even millions of dollars. It's tens of millions.
Our brave United States attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but
also this started 4 years ago. I love that he's like, it's all me. I did this. It's all me. Even though I wasn't there for the majority of this investigation, it's all me.
Where it hides in La Casa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people for money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where guard games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI.
Yeah, unless you're the president himself.
Team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring
how
this
about
case,
them Epstein files?
because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system.
Can you imagine this energy for Epstein? Can you imagine?
That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account.
What is this cut? What is this next video?
At this Italian restaurant in New York, Peter Condoris keeps things as customer-friendly as he can. But lately, when it comes to the price lists from his suppliers...
I don't look anymore.
What the hell? I cook the meat. I cook the criminals and I cook the meat. Oh my God, that was such a funny next video playing after. Cash Patel being like, not this FBI, not in Trump's America. And then a sizzling piece of meat. It's pricey here. We cook at a books and a pork chops. Hey. We cook at a books and we cook at a pork chops. Hogan, thank you for the gifted. Elsky, thank you for the 4 months. Do you know the Shohei Ohtani story? He was involved in illegal gambling, but his translator was the one convicted. But there are people convinced that he was forced to take the fall to protect Shohei because he's close to being the greatest baseball player of all time. I have heard... I heard a little something. Yeah, I did hear a little some of that. I think he is the greatest baseball player of all time. I think he's reached that point. Stop bringing up Ohtani. You know what? He's... Yeah. Hey, look, the United States has done a lot of fuck shit to Japan, so... Ipai Mizuhara, the former interpreter of Los Angeles Dodgers baseball star Shohei Ohtani, has been sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison for a fraud and gambling scheme. Okay, Japan has also done fuck shit. That's true. That's true. But I guess I'm trying to think of like the settling of the scores and who's where and who's gets to do a little bit of IRS fraud. Have you talked about Janelle Monáe time traveling? I have not talked about Janelle Monáe time traveling, but I do believe her. We can talk about that in a sec. He was ordered to pay back nearly $17 million that he'd stolen from the star athlete and another $1 million to the IRS in taxes. He has been Ohtani's English interpreter since Ohtani's U.S. Major League Baseball debut in 2018, was fired amid media reports last year about his gambling activities, prompting investigations into Ohtani's finances. A probe revealed Mizuhara stole nearly $17 million from the athlete to pay off debts owed to a Southern California bookmaker. He then lied on tax records to hide his actions. He pleaded guilty to bank and tax fraud charges. This is a sad tale of an American success story gone wrong. So wrong that Mr. Mizuhara will be spending years inside a prison cell. When the verdict was announced, he was motionless. Before being sentenced, he apologized for his actions. I'm truly sorry to Mr. Ohtani for what I have done. I know an apology will not fix the crime I committed. This mistake will impact me for the rest of my life, and I'm prepared to accept the consequences. Yeah, I kind of feel like he might be taking the fall as well. But what do I know? The scheme threatened to derail Ohtani's career, currently one of baseball's biggest global stars, as questions swirled about whether he was involved in the gambling scheme. I have a question. Am I one of the only people who's not involved in gambling schemes? Or just, I guess, schemes in general? Should I be out here doing more schemes? Am I the last person on this planet who's not scheming? Scheming and scamming? Not yet. That's true. His translator at first claimed the star was aware of his gambling addiction and loaned him funds, a claim that Ohtani initially confirmed. He later clarified that his comments to reporters were not accurate and part of Mizuhara's scheme, saying all of this has been a complete lie. Ohtani has largely been silent on the matter, but released a statement on the scandal back in March saying, "I'm very saddened and shocked that someone I trusted had done this." In court, Judge John Holcomb said that after Mizuhara is released from prison, he'll be on 3 years of probation, which will include drug and alcohol testing and continuing treatment for his gambling addiction. Beyond the stolen funds, he also purchased several autographed baseball cards using Ohtani's money. These cards, valued at approximately $325,000, were intended for resale, but Ohtani has since petitioned a federal judge to gain ownership of the cards as part of the recovery process. We still don't know that you aren't the one who did the Louvre heist. That's true. You've been involved, but you didn't know it. Every time I've scammed someone, I've said I've gotten CarolineKwan. Oh. I mean, there's definitely people out there trying to pretend to be me on Discord and scam people. And I've always said they're pretending to be me. Maybe I'm lying, though. I hate to tell you, but every ad break you have right now includes an ad for a gambling site. Sick. So sick. Seriously, it feels like life is just one big gamble these days. No, that wasn't me that you loaned money to. Or was it? I don't know. I guess we'll never know. Really though, it feels like there's just schemes and scams everywhere, y'all. You gotta watch out. Trust no one. ESPN quietly removed their ESPN bet ticker on the bottom of the screen during a segment on Scary Terry and Chauncey Billups' gambling arrest. They're like, oop, maybe not now.
Networks like ESPN would stay far away from. Those days are obviously long behind us. You hear a lot about legal sports gambling on this show. The Bussin' Boys, obviously sports gambling is a huge part of what you do, so we put those all out there as a preamble because it might be in the back of people's minds, and we acknowledge that this is a different time and place. However, there is a fine line, not so fine. There is a bold line that obviously has to be drawn. But it was something that leagues...
They're like, you know what? Maybe we should... Maybe the optics aren't so good. Maybe we should take this down for now. Yeah, bet $10, get $100. Wow, that seems pretty good. You're telling me I can bet $10 and I'll just get $100? Hey, that sounds like a good deal. No one talks about this blatant cheating incident.
Boban Marjanovic right back at the line. He and Tobias Harris, it was built up that they were friends. They were actually friends. They were good friends. They had a show called the Bobby and Toby Show that was a riot, but they were legit. It wasn't one of those we're teammates and we're seen together, this would be fun. And Tobias Harris, one of the extremely nice gentlemen in the league as well. The ultimate home court advantage is ready to rise. Now is your chance to be among the most energetic Clipper fans on the planet.
Wait, so there's free Chick-fil-A on the line.
Place and join us in the wall at clippers.com/the wall.
Well, I'm talking to the crowd next. If you miss 2 free throws in a row, and he told him, I'm making this. Look, that's what he said. No, I think he said he might have missed it so he could get the free burger.
I told you he's the nicest guy in the league.
Well, people got free chicken after that. They got free homophobic chicken. The NBA is very concerned about the multiple arrests made as a result of the FBI sports gambling code. Use code multiple arrests for a 30% profit boost on a 3-leg parlay with DraftKings, the official gambling partner of the NBA. You know, I honestly absolutely side-eye any rich person who gets involved in any type of gambling sponsors, because ultimately that is at the expense of their fans, their followers. Gambling is so addictive. It's so addictive. A lot of people have a gambling problem. Even if it's not to the tune of like, I sold my house, my family left me, I'm out on the streets. A lot of people struggle. It's so easy to become addicted to it. But gambling sponsors pay a lot of money. Yes, they pay a lot of money because it comes back to them tenfold. You think these gambling sponsors are paying this much money if they're not getting even more in return? Gambling is an inherently harmful activity that at best can be mitigated until it's neutral. That we made sports betting legal all over the country is a great example of our moral failings as a society and people. Yeah, it's just betting on everything. Up here in Canada, it's extra fucked to realize that our sports betting is literally all U.S. companies siphoning off Canadians' money. That's so fucked. Like, Jesus. We're not even, we're coming after Canadians. The only gambling I'm guilty of is Oscars and Grammy predictions, and it doesn't even involve money. Yeah, no, I like doing stuff like that. But I just... It's so predatory. It's so predatory. And especially if you have a young audience. I remember reading stats about how many like college age kids, high school and college age kids were getting addicted to gambling. And so if you are somebody who has a lot of influence and particularly over young, impressionable kids, cut it out. Stop. You're making money off of people, potentially lots of people going into debt that then is going to haunt them their entire lives. I'm in college right now and I see people gambling while in class. Oh my God. I literally saw an ad here on Twitch for a gambling site that said something to the effect of, the world is crazy, so why not bet on it? World's crazy. I wish we could pick the ads that run on our platforms. I wish I could be like, hey, no military, no gambling ads. Certain streamers so addicted that when two of his friends tried to intervene at different times, he claimed they hated him and got a $100 million contract from a streaming site funded by a gambling site, but that could be anyone. Yeah, the thing is that a lot of these streamers who take these gambling sponsors, they're addicts as well. They're just getting paid to gamble. They're getting paid a lot of money to gamble. No gay cruise ads? No, how about only ads for gay cruises? Only ads for gay cruises. But that's why it's like, look, Stake, Kick, these sites that are just funneling money to these crypto gambling companies. It's not something to be taken lightly. It's like, it's fucking a lot of people up. A lot of kids who are watching hours and hours and hours of somebody play online slots, and then they themselves get addicted because they get $100 to start off, and then that's gone in like 2 seconds. I say this as somebody who's afraid to really gamble because I'm afraid of getting addicted. I'll play the most I'll do is play slots. If I'm in Vegas, I get my drinks. I do the slots. I usually have a cutoff time. It's usually like, okay, either in between stuff, because I have gambling addicts in my family. And it was one of those addictions that I was like, I don't even want to find out if I'll have this or not. No thanks. I do slots as soon as I break back even or go positive again. Then I quit. Yeah, but it's really hard. It's really hard for most people to walk away. Didn't have Justin Bieber streaming on Twitch. Justin Bieber's streaming on Twitch? The hell? What? Why? What's he? What is it? Justin Bieber on Twitch? The fact that it's so accessible online now is crazy. At least when you go in person, there's some minor perks. Yeah. Yeah. But now it's like, dude, you can just gamble on your phone. It's so easy to gamble. They've made it so easy. Twitch pushed a notification to everyone. What? Is he live right now?
How much you love me?
Wow.
Absolutely, of course. Oh, I wouldn't even this.
Oh.
I gotta be so for real. Only 8K?
No, I'm kidding. Let me stop.
Fire. I'm on fire.
Wanna play Uno?
Only 8K? Only an 8K, Andy?
I'm terrible at this shot.
Nice at both. So either way, you're getting Uno.
I should knock knock.
You want me to tell you something?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something how amazing.
I don't want the
this is,
easy
right?
stuff.
Two.
Bro.
So Kyle was like, yo,
Why?
let's play pool.
1, 2,
3. All right.
And then also, like, who's
for
gifting
5.
subs? You guys, why? Why are you gifting subs? Is it because you think he'll read it out?
Yeah, that blue one's gonna be
Check his
not good
emotes?
because it's like heavier.
Ball in. It's my shot. I'm like, oh, it's my turn.
How do you do that?
Like ball goes in.
Channel
We're over
emotes?
there playing basketball. I'm telling Chris, like, me and Chris, like, bro, we're terrible at basketball. They're like, yeah, we're gonna play 5 shots.
It was Gary
Oh, you missed
V.
what?
What time y'all leaving?
Oh, you missed
Gary V.
Oh, okay, 3.
Why are you gifting subs to Justin Bieber?
Everybody's going.
Ooh, that one's also a hard ball to hit because it's a glow-in-the-dark ball.
Even on it. He missed the first round. The first round.
Anyway, I mean, this is kind of boring, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know how to.
All right, you got to make these last 2.
How do I?
I believe in you.
Last came first today.
Nah, let's play.
You want to play this?
Yep.
Emote?
Ooh. All right, new
Y'all,
round.
I don't know how to do this.
Should we play on this?
Oh, I made one.
You made
Girl,
one,
you guys,
baby.
I don't know how to. I don't know how to.
That was a great
He doesn't
shot.
have any.
Way to
Okay.
calibrate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's go to this corner.
Okay. All right. That's. I don't use emotes. Don't hurt yourself, Queen. I was hurting myself. Mooncat has a great video about Gary Vee and how much of an asshole he is. A lot of those out there. A lot of assholes out there. Okay. All right. Here's Janelle Monáe talking about being a time traveler. And I believe her. Believe women.
You saw him?
I did. I traveled
And
back
non-binary.
into the 1970s, and I saw him
Non-binary
do
people.
Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, and it was incredible.
I believe women and I believe envies.
You traveled back.
Yeah, it was backstage, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And so I jetted back to, the 2000s, and I was like, I can have the musical, make the music, create the lyrics, and create community around transformation and being queer, and not even just in sexuality, but just in how we see the world. Let's go outside the mundane and what people know us as every day. Leave room to allow yourself to transform. I think when I saw David Bowie.
You saw him?
I did. I traveled back into the 1970s, and I saw him do.
I love that. You saw him? Do tell.
Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
Can we?
And it was incredible.
You traveled back.
Yeah, it was backstage, and I was like, this is what.
Can we pause on this for a second? So, what do you mean?
What I want to do.
What do you mean you traveled? Just her eyes being like, I'm sorry, what?
And so I jetted back to, the 2000s, and I was like, I can have the musical, make the music, create the lyrics, and create community around transformation and being queer, and not even just in sexuality, but just in how.
I don't know why anyone would be questioning this. But also, I would love to hang out with Janelle Monáe sometime and maybe take some time traveling substances. Because I would be interested in going back in time and also meeting David Bowie. You know? You seem to be glossing over a big part of the story. I believe Janelle Monáe, and anybody questioning this, anybody questioning this, I question you. Yeah, I would want to go back and ask David Bowie, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on teenagers saying that somber is their generation's you? Queer stories matter, y'all. You know what? She is so sincere. She's so sincere. I believe her. I'm in my believe in people era, you know? Didn't I just say trust no one? In this stream, I've said trust no one, and also I'm in my believe. I'm in my I believe them era. The duality of woman, truly. Okay, Renee Rapp on being inspired by Black musicians and why she hasn't made an R&B album. Any non-Black person that makes anything that can be deemed remotely soulful or R&B historically will always be praised and uplifted much more than people who are actually Black and make R&B music. I would never consider an album of mine at any point to be R&B because in my opinion, R&B is just tied to something much more culturally significant than me. Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. This is what we were talking about this yesterday. We were talking about this when we talked about D'Angelo. I will say, I do think Renee Rapp has the talent to, like, I would love to see her get into soul type music. I don't know. It's like, I think you can recognize this, but also not state it in a way where it's like, then I'll never participate. I'll never explore these types of genres, because honestly, that's a lot of music. She's right, but I wish her actual music was better. I really like Renee Rapp, but I do think that if this is the way she's looking at it, then she is going to be shortening herself. You know? Her singing R&B would be better than pop. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But so, yeah, it's just kind of like, I think it's always important to recognize who the pioneers are and the historical injustices towards Black artists and Black music. But if we do start going down this road, I think then it creates a lot of lines. You know? But also, if it's bad, then it's bad. Let me watch this video if we're talking about it.
I feel two ways about this. Any non-Black person that makes anything that can even be deemed remotely soulful or R&B or however you want to say it, for the sake of conversation, historically will always be praised and uplifted much more than people who are actually Black and making R&B music. So let's first let's get this out of the way, which has just been true. And is just kind of also like, even outside of music, just like the idea of like white mediocrity will always prevail. I'm not calling myself that. However, I am saying that like it just inherently has been more celebrated because it is more palatable. And I'm also not saying it's bad. So my answer, with that being the preface, is every single one of my most important inspirations are black men and women who are in R&B or in rock music or in any fucking genre of music.
I think too a better use of time and energy as a white artist like Renee Rapp would be to ensure that you open doors and help out Black artists who maybe have obstacles that you don't or could benefit from your celebrity. Like I think I think that would be more productive.
So there will always be influence.
And she does that. No, I'm not saying Renee doesn't do that. I'm not saying Renee it's like, hey, be a better ally. But I guess I'm looking at it rather than a keeping yourself from participating, from making art in this genre of music. When instead it's like, oh, you can do it, but collaborate with Black artists, lift up Black artists. I don't think that you should necessarily limit yourself because of the real structural racist obstacles for Black artists that have always existed. She said in the past, if she does make an R&B album, she would only work with Black artists on it.
Of those artists and of the best music genre in my music, there always will be. No matter what. I would never, answering this right now, I would never consider an album of mine at any point to be R&B because in my opinion, R&B is just tied to something much more culturally significant than me. So I don't think I would ever put out something and say this is an R&B album. it just doesn't. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying no. Those musicians and musical influences will always be in my music and probably will be more in my music going forward if I'm lucky enough to make something that good. However,
so she's basically saying she wouldn't want to call it R&B. I guess it would just be more generally in the genre of soul. I'm not sure.
I don't think that I would call what I would do an R&B album. Does that make sense? Does this track?
Okay.
Yes. Long-winded answer, but that's how I felt. But it's the best. It's the best! It's all the music I want to sing. But yeah.
Seems like she doesn't intend to put barriers in herself. She just won't use the R&B label. Maybe she's fine making the music she wants, but won't encourage people calling her something like R&B icon of this gen. Whatever. I mean, yeah, it's... yeah. I guess I kind of look at it as I think Renee Rapp has a lot more potential and talent than the music she's been putting out. You know, she's so good on Broadway. She's so good when singing songs that are not her originals. I just think she's too good to be putting out the music she's been putting out. I think she can do better. And maybe it's a management issue. I don't know. Or maybe specifically for award shows, like being in an R&B category for Black artists or something like that. Yeah, which is so fair. Okay, anyway. Okay, all right. Let's look at, well, speaking of Broadway, just quick little story here. Broadway was potentially going to go on strike, but strike averted. Musicians have reached a deal with producers. It's a tentative agreement, still requires ratification by union members, but it is coming 5 days after a similar agreement with actors and stage managers. And the industry is already struggling deeply. And so a strike would have been quite disastrous. But also, the people who work on Broadway have, for a long time now, been raising their voices and pointing out that they need higher wages and that they need a wage increase. And so that is what has been bargained this last week. Broadway League bargained with the American Federation of Musicians Local 802, who threatened to walk off the job if no contract agreement was reached. United in solidarity, Local 802 Broadway musicians are thrilled to announce that we reached a tentative agreement at 4:30 a.m. with the Broadway League that will avert a strike scheduled to begin later today, said Union President Robert Sutman. This 3-year agreement provides meaningful wage and health benefit increases that will preserve crucial access to health care for our musicians while maintaining the strong contract protections that empower musicians to build a steady career on Broadway. Settlement comes 5 days after the league reached a separate tentative contract agreement with Actors Equity Association, the labor union that represents performers and stage managers. So they are receiving a 3% salary increase each year of a 3-year deal. Also, increased contributions to the Workers' Health Fund. There are currently 32 shows running on Broadway, and they were seen by 277,744 people during the week that ended October 19th. The top grossing show that week was Hamilton, which has been setting records thanks to the return of Leslie Odom Jr. Behind it were Wicked, which is being boosted because of the movie, and most recent Broadway strike was in 2007 and lasted for 19 days. Yeah. Broadway has been struggling because the cost of shows has just skyrocketed, and none of the musicals that opened last season have made a profit, and so fewer musicals are being planned. Audiences are drawn to older musical hits. And so the industry has just been struggling all around. Like I have friends in New York who previously have been on Broadway who like cannot get work. Even before the pandemic, they were starting to struggle. Yeah. They can't get any work because it's already very competitive, but they are planning fewer and fewer shows because the commercial musicals that opened on Broadway last season did not make a profit yet. So Suffs wasn't enough to save it. Nope. And then also revivals of classics like Cabaret, which are costing a ton of money. Like these shows are so expensive. They're getting more and more expensive to produce them. Same with Gypsy. That was like a $20 million revival. Cabaret was a $26 million revival. Sunset Boulevard cost $15 million. And since the pandemic, since the pandemic, only 3 of the 46 new musicals that have opened on Broadway have made a profit. Only 3 out of 46. It's just not the business that it used to be. The economics are really bad. The concerns over sustainability are high concerns. And the reasons for this are as I said, the costs of these spectacles have skyrocketed. They're only getting more and more expensive. These productions. Ticket prices have remained actually pretty flat, but attendance is below pre-pandemic levels. So people just aren't going to see shows like they used to. And it's worrisome because as far as like prospects for new productions, new works on Broadway, which is like very vital to a healthy live theater industry, those are being eyed as, I don't know if we can keep doing these anymore. We just might have to keep doing the Wickeds and the Lion Kings and the Aladdins and the Mamma Mias. Have they considered selling streaming tickets for people to watch live the internet? Well, what they have been doing is like they will tape the show like they did with Hamilton. They're also releasing Merrily We Roll Along. And then do a deal with a streaming service and try and get revenue that way. More people have less spending money for fun. Yeah, and like live theater shows are something that I think aren't as appealing to younger generations. Like that's definitely something that it feels like an older people thing. Same, going to the opera, going to see a Broadway performance, going to any type of live performance in that regard. That's not concerts. That's not like, major concerts of major artists, musical artists. Yeah, the same with the ballet. There's going to be a drag version of Cats this spring. You know what? Fuck it. We need drag version of Cats to save Broadway. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those where we might see less and less new musicals being created. I mean, we're already seeing it, but we might continue down this path of having less musicals, less new musicals, because they're just going to fall back on like the ones that consistently people see and make money. Are you not excited for Karate Kid the musical? Well, wax on, wax off. It's the eye of the tiger. The biggest shows in the last few years were limited runs of straight plays with celebs. Yes, and that's one thing that they do too, is that they will cast really big talent from Hollywood and pay him a bunch of money. And that also just makes it harder for theater actors to get those roles when a lot of who's getting hired to be a draw for these shows are big film and TV names. You're telling me the Obama musical didn't go well? I know, it's shocking, right?
For roughly $85.4 billion.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers Discovery announced today that it is putting itself...
Warner Brothers Discovery.
Up for sale. The company, which owns CNN, HBO, and other streaming businesses and much more, previously had announced that it would split into two companies
Please don't take
by the end
offense.
of
Your yellow
next
sweater
year.
is crushing.
But today
Thank
the company
you.
said it had received unsolicited interest from buyers for the entire company, as well as for Warner Brothers alone.
Joining us now, NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas. So, Chloe, first off, what else is the company saying about this decision, and who might potentially buy this massive company.
Sure. Well, actually, I was one of the reporters who said earlier last month that Paramount Skydance was interested in acquiring WBD. Now, we don't know what exactly happened with that, but this is a big moment for WBD to come out and say, we are interested in selling the entire company, but we are also still open to pursuing our previous plan, like you just said, of splitting the company into two separate parts, which is Warner Brothers, the film studio, which is home to iconic franchises like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC Comics, which is Superman and Batman, obviously HBO Max, but then, like you said, CNN.
Okay, I'm gonna buy Warner Brothers to kill the Harry Potter franchise. Can this work out? Kill the Harry Potter franchise and then maybe fuck J.K. Rowling over. If I were a billionaire, if I had endless money where I could do something like that.
And the cable properties in another company. Yeah. But again, perhaps they do have multiple suitors. So you could have Netflix.
Or, yeah, I sell it to a trans rights org.
Potentially. There have been reports that even our own parent company, Comcast, might be interested. We've reached out to them for comment. And, you know, the streaming side of this,
the Tigers from Rocky
is very lucrative. And to have that IP be a part of another streamer would be a big incentive for someone to want to buy either that part or potentially
wow, Dee, thank you for that gift to Justin Bieber and Hogan. Thank you for the gift to Gary V. Digital sneezing in 4 months.
And CBS, just on the news side.
Right.
That's our world, so we know that. This decision has followed a lot of other major media companies making moves recently. What could all of this mean for consumers as this consolidation might happen?
Well, first of all, it's a sign of the times. Less and less people are watching linear television. Advertising for those channels is on the decline, and people are cutting the cord, and more people are turning to streaming.
I love that streaming now costs more than cable did back in the day. You have same amount of ads, and it just overall sucks.
So at the end of the day, Warner Brothers Discovery, they're trying to get as much money as possible, whether or not
probably
they sell
more
it
ads
off in parts and pieces, or they sell it as one entity altogether. But this could be a big win for potentially a Paramount Skydance who wants to really turn things around for some of these networks that have been on the decline. So it could be actually really good news for somebody like CNN or HGTV. So we'll just have to see what happens. But again, for the consumer and the people at home watching, they might need to look at their streaming services because they might need to start consolidating themselves.
Well, a lot of people are streaming us right now as we speak.
Not this one.
Yeah, wasn't it? Who just announced another price increase? Which streaming service? Was it HBO? One of them a couple days ago just announced another price increase. Oh, it was HBO. Yeah. Jumped up by $2. Disney had announced their price increase, and that was in the middle of the Jimmy Kimmel shit. Apparently they lost 3 million subscribers when that happened. It's also crazy. Netflix was the inception to this. The whole goal of Netflix was to replace regular and cable TV. Yeah, remember they said, we will never have commercials.
NBC News.
Okay, so here is the statement from Writers Guild. Writers Guild, Paramount Warner Brothers merger would be a disaster. The Writers Guild of America has released its first statement in response to Warner Brothers Discovery going on sale, warning that a potential sale of the legacy studio to Paramount Skydance would be a disaster. Merger after merger in the media industry has harmed workers, diminished competition and free speech, and wasted hundreds of billions of dollars better invested in organic growth. Combining Warner Brothers with Paramount or another major studio or streamer would be a disaster for writers, for consumers, and for competition. The WGAW and WGAE will work with regulators to block the merger. So far, Paramount Skydance has made at least 3 offers to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, including one for $60 billion. On Tuesday, Warner Brothers Discovery said in a statement that it would undergo review of strategic alternatives to maximize shareholder value, a signal that Warner Brothers would be back up for sale 3 years after the WBD merger was completed. Both before and after that 2022 merger, the WGA was a major voice of protest against it, releasing a memo called Broken Promises that outlined the anti-competitive practices that followed mergers and acquisitions, like Disney's purchase of 20th Century Fox in 2019. In 2023, it released a follow-up criticizing WBD's decisions to cancel and shelve billions in film and TV projects in an effort to cut costs. The series of mergers that led us here, first the $85 billion AT&T Time Warner merger and then the $43 billion Warner Media Discovery merger, have each promised to create a better competitor, but have instead left the merged entity debt-burdened and focused on cutting costs to rationalize these disastrous business decisions. Yep.
And one that is viewed as one of the worst mergers in U.S. media over the last 20 years, and about 80 million global subscribers. HBO.
Actually, let's first watch how corporate greed
Warner Bros. Was
Warner
once
Brothers.
the crown jewel of Hollywood, the studio that gave us The Dark Knight, Harry Potter, Friends, and so much more.
Mikey, thank you for the 5
And
months.
for nearly a century, it struck a rare.
Trump wants Ellison to own it. Of course. He's like, I will. Well, my FTC will definitely not get in the way. My Brendan Carr, who reports to Trump, head of the FCC, who approved Paramount and Skydance, will certainly not get in the way on this. Who owns Warner Brothers Discovery is very important to the administration. Of course, Trump wants the Ellisons because the Ellisons are one of his big allies. That's why what's good for the Ellisons is good for Donald Trump. And the Ellisons are taking over a lot of media and entertainment. That's the game plan here. Both digital media, legacy media, entertainment, news. The Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos said on Tuesday that the streamer would be choosy with regards to M&A, making it clear they had no interest in acquiring linear networks. Paramount Skydance isn't the only interested party, as Apple, Amazon, Comcast, and Netflix have been floated as potential suitors. All right, let's watch this.
Balance, achieving commercial success without compromising on bold creativity or cultural impact. The Warner Brothers Shield and HBO's Static Intro both became two.
And just remember that one major reason the writer and actor strikes happened is because of the Hollywood mergers that occurred leading up to it, and because of that consolidated control, it only led to further exploitation of the laborers in the entertainment industry. Mergers and attempts to monopolize markets, which have been a recurring theme in media and in entertainment, are always at the expense of the many, many workers in these industries. And so the strikes happened in 2023 because of anti-competitive consolidation on top of increasing vertical integration. And so there were less people working full-time, so more short-term employment, lower pay, more precarious working environments. We did learn about this in Succession.
Two of the most
first-time chat, please ignore. Too bad. What up, Ham and Cheddar?
recognizable and trusted symbols in film and TV. But today, that same studio is unraveling. And the company is so deep in debt, it just announced it's splitting itself into two, which we'll talk about in a moment. But maybe worst of all, the people running the place are cashing out while the brand burns. And this is what happens on Wall Street today, when one of the most iconic movie studios in the world is just handed over to executives and investors who see art as a line item and legacy as something to be monetized, then discarded. And that's not to say that Warner Bros. Or HBO isn't still capable of making hits. They are, and they still do from time to time. But it's the likelihood of that continuing that seems in jeopardy here. So this is the story of how corporate greed ruined Warner Brothers.
I feel like you could have just corporate greed ruined blank.
2022, Warner Brothers officially merged with Discovery, forming Warner Brothers Discovery in a deal worth over $40 billion. But since that merger, the company's stock price has been gutted by more than 60%. It's been a tumultuous 3 years marked by layoffs, executive shakeups, and a series of head-scratching, cost-cutting decisions. What was once pitched as a bold new media empire, blending Warner Brothers' prestige storytelling with Discovery's cable networks, quickly devolved into a debt-riddled mess. And here's why. Before the merger, Warner Bros. Was owned by AT&T, who had rebranded it as Time Warner. During AT&T's brief and baffling ownership, the company racked up
It's true. Corporate greed ruined CarolineKwan.
massive amounts of debt, mostly from its own $85 billion acquisition of Time Warner in 2018. During that time, it failed to integrate media with telecom. So in 2022, when the companies merged, they inherited a lot of that debt. The newly merged company was suddenly saddled with over $40 billion in debt. Debt that required massive interest payments and placed a chokehold on long-term strategy. And instead of reinvesting in the legacy they inherited, Warner Brothers Discovery became obsessed with short-term savings, even if it meant cannibalizing the very content that built its brand. What that looked like over the years was the company bleeding billions of dollars. It meant scrapping fully completed films like Batgirl, not because it was bad, but because it was more valuable to WBD as a tax write-off. It meant gutting their streaming library, quietly deleting shows and movies to save on residual payments or storage costs, even if it meant erasing years of hard work and pissing off their subscribers. But it also meant spending millions on a baffling rebrand, dropping the name HBO Max, HBO, the one part of their business still associated with quality, in favor of a compelling name like Max. Also, they could merge the Discovery content onto HBO.
Honestly, I think a good example of just how fucking bad this merger was is and how stupid the promises of, ooh, this is going to be so innovative, exciting times is the switch up, is the flip-flopping back and forth with HBO Max, and then the color changes, and then going back. Just these pointless rebrands.
Oh, and I guess not have subscribers confused? That decision was not only mocked by the public, but it also ended up diluting their brand altogether.
Corporate greed
Earlier
took my
this year,
virginity.
they reversed course and changed it back to HBO Max, basically admitting the entire rebrand was a mistake. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any official numbers, but this embarrassing misstep likely cost them millions of dollars in consulting costs, ad revenue, and employee time. Now, all of these decisions didn't just happen in a vacuum. They were driven by one man, Warner Brothers Discovery's CEO, David Zaslav. And to be fair, he probably didn't make every single one of these decisions, but
we
you know
hate
what they say
him.
when you're in charge, the buck stops with you. Zaslav was the CEO of Discovery before the two companies merged, and he had been in the media industry for decades. Since taking the reins in 2022, Zaslav has been nothing short of a disaster for the company. Because while Warner Brothers is busy losing billions of dollars in value and in income every year, his personal compensation is quite staggering. In 2024, his exorbitant pay package barely squeaked through a shareholder vote.
And here's the thing too. Okay, so let's say the Ellisons take over Warner Brothers Discovery. So now they have Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers Discovery. They own a lot. They own major news organizations like CNN and Please don't say that sentence. Like CNN and CBS, and then they have Paramount, and they have HBO and Warner Brothers. We already know the moves that they're making now and intending to keep making with that consolidated power. So if you are a writer in Hollywood, this means that you have fewer places to sell your work, and hope that a diversity of stories is being, that there is opportunity for you, and for you to be paid fairly and to have fair working conditions. Because I know this is dumbing it down, but the more and more mergers you have, the more that this power is being consolidated, then everybody is at the whim of a handful of billionaire individuals. You can be blackballed easier. Absolutely. So it's not just how it makes it worse for consumers, makes it worse for the laborers in media and in entertainment. HBO is going to start making just as genre soft. These companies have already announced too, we're not going to have any diversity initiatives. We're doing away with all of that, right? In the Donald Trump era, in their capitulating to him, bending the knee, all that, announcing that we'll have no diversity initiatives, no wokeness over here. And now the FCC only has to send their lawsuits to one address. Yeah. And then they just can ignore all of it. They're like, we'll just take the fines.
And by 2025, shareholders had had enough. They flat out rejected his exorbitant pay package, with nearly 60% voting against it. Now, to be clear, these votes are non-binding, meaning the board of directors who determines executives' compensation can still do what it wants. But it was very clear this was a public embarrassment.
Doesn't CBS have a tattletale that's reporting to Trump anytime something that's not flattering? Yes. So that is the role that is called an ombudsman. And part of the merger deal was that they agreed, we are going to bring in an ombudsman into CBS, and that is supposed to be an impartial person who doesn't work on behalf of the company. And no, not Barry Weiss. So Barry Weiss is the editor-in-chief, is coming in as the editor-in-chief of CBS. So this is supposed to be a neutral intermediary, and basically they are there to investigate, take care of issues, report. And so in this case, reporting back to the Trump administration. So a snitch, right? in the terms of this deal, it's a snitch. So this is something that regularly exists, and oftentimes it's good because it's supposed to protect individuals' rights and ensure that there is a place for you to go if there are complaints, if there are issues, and that it's not going to then go. It's not somebody who works for the company. But in the case of the Paramount merger deal, it's somebody who's there to make sure that they're snitching on anything that's too woke, too anti-Trump. So it is a legitimate position, but it's one that can easily be weaponized and be used in the case of in the case of this particular merger to ensure that CBS stays friendly towards Donald Trump. Did Disney Fox Century happen during the Trump administration? Disney Fox merger was 2019 was when it was completed. So yes.
Under pressure, The board did end up responding by cutting his future compensation, albeit just slightly, but just to
My weed dealer was a local state court ombudsman. Which job came
give
first?
some context on how egregious this pay was. In 2024, his total pay package was nearly $52 million. Now, compare that to Netflix's co-CEOs, who both made around $60 million each in 2024, which is no doubt ridiculous. But the difference here is Netflix made about $8.7 billion in profit that year, while Warner Brothers Discovery lost over.
But the thing is that they are working 400% harder than the average worker, so deserved.
$11 billion. In fact, Warner Brothers Discovery hasn't reported a positive net income since 2022 when the two companies merged. Over 3 years of losses. Now I know some people argue that these massive CEO pay packages
The latest
can be
Tarantino film is
misleading
called The Woke
because they're not
Snitch.
entirely cash. They're mostly made up of stock-based compensation tied to performance. And it's true that his base salary was relatively modest when compared to CEO pay at around $3 million. Most CEOs are paid this way to lower their tax burden, with the rest of the payment coming from either cash bonuses or stock-based options. But stock-based compensation still.
Also, just to give you an indication that yes, things are getting worse as far as uncontrolled merger activity, more and more accumulation of market power across the economy. Because when you look at like the 80s compared to the 2000s, and so basically the difference of 20 plus years, 20, 30 years, the number of merger and acquisition deals has increased greatly. And we're talking in the trillions in record merger and acquisition deals. And so it has in 2 decades, in 2 decades from like 1985, increased concentration in over 3/4 of the US industries. So this is just pure capital market accumulation, and it's so common, and people forget that we do have regulatory bodies and laws that are supposed to prevent uncontrolled merger activity. And so it's just a matter of having people like Alina Khan who are sharks on this kind of thing and go after these companies. But they've gotten to a point too that they're so fucking big. They're so fucking big. So a lot of times they just they'll eat the lawsuits, they'll eat the fines. Like we're at the mega conglomerate stage. See, this is what those free market fuckers fail to realize. Like, these companies actually competed with one another, then they might have a point, but it's way easier to just cooperate and fuck over everyone else. Yeah, it's like, I don't understand how you keep going, but the market, but the free market, that's what's important, when it's like, actually, this makes it less free. This gives people less choice and is bad for the consumer.
Carries a cost. It dilutes existing shareholders, it adds pressure to hit short-term financial targets, and depending on the accounting method, often can get recorded as an expense.
But the thing too, this is the problem with unfettered capitalism, because it's not enough to just have profit every year. That profit has to increase year over. That profit has to keep, if you're looking at a chart, it's got to be a line that's like this. So it's not just that you're profitable every year. It's that you're more profitable every single year. Line must go up and up and up and up and never stop going up.
On the income statement. So while it might not be a cash payment in the traditional sense, although some of it definitely is, it's absolutely not free. And when a company is losing billions of dollars, rewarding executives with tens of millions of dollars while they're busy firing hundreds of employees, that sends a very clear message about priorities. And you've probably heard critiques around the idea of maximizing shareholder value before, screwing over anyone and everyone just to make the stock price go up a bit so the C-level execs can get paid more. Yeah, well, these executive-based pay structures are a huge component to this shareholder value illusion, and it plays right into this messed up system. According to the Wall Street Journal, his base pay will now be lower and some of the bonuses have been restructured. But even then, he could still earn tens of millions if the company hits certain financial targets, including successfully completing the planned corporate split. So while the optics have changed,
Also, the reason that people are always invoking Reagan and like goddamn Reagan is because a lot of this does start with the 80s when Reagan came in. I mean, Jimmy Carter too, but like Reagan really took deregulation to the max. Yeah, Ronald Reagan, the actor. Yes, Ronald Reagan, the actor who once upon a time was the president of SAG-AFTRA and then became a union-busting asshole.
incentives really haven't. His rewards are still tied to financial benchmarks that encourage short-term decision-making. And that's been the pattern with Zaslav from the very beginning. Under his leadership, the company has experienced several missteps and has engaged in some serious cost-cutting measures, some of which make no sense at all. But he's done this at the expense of the very creators, content, and the legacy that made Warner Brothers a powerhouse in the first place.
Because they don't care. They don't care. You don't have people coming in, as CEOs of these companies who care about this. That's kind of the joke. Like in the entertainment industry, the decision makers, the people with the power, like real power, they don't care about art. Of course not. Some of them are like, I remember when I worked at Sony, I would definitely run into this type of executive who absolutely envisioned themselves as an artist, but had no artistic merits, no skills, no nothing. So some of them think that they are genuinely artists. Have you guys seen the studio? Yeah. That element of the studio really resembled my time at Sony. And it was funny because people at the lower level, which was me, we're the ones who were reading the scripts, who were doing a lot of like the day in and day out actual creative work, getting no credit and no money whatsoever. And the top level executives, I guess I would just say, had some very questionable opinions. This plays into why they meddle with projects and ultimately ruin its financial and artistic potential.
Recent surveys have shown morale has collapsed around Warner Brothers Discovery, but Zaslav has kept cashing checks. Now, to be fair, Warner Brothers Discovery has had some wins lately, especially at the box office. Sinners became a surprise breakout, grossing over $365 million globally, making it the third highest grossing horror movie of all time. And the recent Superman reboot under James Gunn has grossed over $400 million so far. It's on track to become the highest grossing superhero movie of the year, according to The Hollywood Reporter. The company still holds valuable IP across DC, Harry Potter, and beyond. But in an era where fewer people are going to the movies, box office hits can be extremely unpredictable. And the landscape has drastically changed over the last 10 years. Not just for studios like Warner Brothers, but for everyone involved in a movie or a TV show. Now, personally, I still think HBO is home to some of the best television ever made, both now and historically speaking. Some of my all-time favorite shows are on HBO. But let's be honest, that success has far more to do with the creatives behind the camera than with the executives managing the balance sheet. Generally speaking, great shows get made in spite of corporate leadership, not because of it.
Yes,
And
that's what I'm
meanwhile,
talking
Zaslav
about.
has been signaling that the real end game is consolidation, positioning Warner Brothers
But then, of course, these jerks take all the credit.
Discovery as either a target or a partner for a future merger. The hope is that someone bigger like Apple or Amazon might come along and buy them out, or that they could strike another merger with potentially someone like Paramount to become a bigger fish in a shrinking pond. And that was part of the logic behind the company's recent decision to split itself in two, separating its declining linear cable networks that include CNN, Discovery, TNT, etc., from its studio and streaming operations. The official pitch is that, quote, this will also allow each company to pursue important investment opportunities and drive shareholder value. Now, I think many see it for what it really is. This is an attempt to isolate the liabilities and make the more appealing half easier to sell. That being
And one problem too is that the consumer welfare standard that is that was really popularized in the 70s is now widely regarded, widely recognized as having failed to protect competition across these markets. So the whole idea is that what it did was focus antitrust enforcement on short-term consumer price increases, which they looked at as that's definitionally then what illegal mergers and behaviors are. And so a lot of times these mergers are approved, and the reasons for the approval is, oh, well, it's based on efficiencies. It's going to lower the company's costs, and then therefore it's going to lower costs to consumers. Even if it reduces competition, ultimately it's better for consumers because if the company's costs are lowered, then the cost to consumers are lowered. But we know that that's not how it actually works in practice. And so the consumer welfare standard that's still used as the basis for approving these mergers and these acquisitions, time and time again, is failing to protect competition and therefore failing to protect consumers.
the movie studio and streaming platform. This financial pressure had been building for a while though. Back in mid-2024, S&P Global downgraded WBD's credit rating to junk status, specifically citing the rapid decline of its broadcast business. And for anyone unfamiliar, that's essentially the corporate equivalent of a credit score in the 300s. The downgrade spooked investors because it signaled serious doubt that WBD could pay its existing debt, let alone take on new borrowing power, while still carrying both its legacy cable networks and its studio all under one roof. And that's a big part of why we're seeing this split happen right now. It has very little to do with driving shareholder value, and it's much more about managing optics so they can make the studio side of the business look more appealing to potential buyers. And at the end of the day, Warner Brothers isn't declining because people stop watching movies or caring about great television. It's declining because the people in charge treated one of Hollywood's most iconic studios like a distressed asset, something to be stripped for parts and offloaded. And I've barely touched on how badly industry sentiment has turned, especially after the way WBD has treated some of its talent. So maybe the split will buy them some time. Maybe a bigger tech company will swoop in and salvage what's left. But legacy isn't something you can just sell off and rebuild later. Once the trust is gone from creators or audiences, it's a long way back. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about why the $5 footlong ended up destroying Subway, well, I covered it in this video here. Be sure to check it out next. Thanks for watching.
And next up, let's learn about the $5 footlong and why that really no longer exists. Can I get a link? Yeah, got you. Okay. What is the difference? This is a stupid question. What is the difference between shareholders and like owning stock? Are they the same or different? So they can, yeah. So they're used like interchangeably because If you own stock, then you own shares of a company. So shareholders buy shares from the company, and then they usually like stockholders, I think maybe people use the term if you're owning a few shares, and then there's stakeholders. You might not own a significant amount in terms of a vote or power. Yeah. So not somebody who it's like, okay, I have a little bit of stock in Disney versus being a stakeholder where you have you have more of an interest in the company and the company's performance, and would have more rights in the company. Okay. What did I want to look at? I wanted to look at this Guillermo del Toro interview. Do you think there's any way to keep Paramount from buying up Warner Brothers, or a less Trump-fielded tech company buying up Warner Brothers that isn't Netflix? I mean, within this administration, I don't know. How do you stop? I guess if the offer's not high enough, but as far as like, do I think the regulatory bodies that should be stepping in to prevent something like this, do I think that's going to happen? No. So it would just be a matter of like, it would just come down to the offer amount. Typically, if you're just buying stocks like casually, then you aren't going to be approaching 1% ownership or anything close to that. Yeah. So most stockholders would only own a few shares. All right. Here's some good news. Cam Tram, thank you for the 25 months. Here's some good news, y'all. You want some good news? You want some good news? Guillermo del Toro, still based. Guillermo del Toro, I can report and say, is not one of these directors in Hollywood who you will hear, unless he changes his tune and then you know what, it's all over, who you will hear talking about how AI is the future and how he's promoting it now because it's the future. No. So this is an interview that he did with Fresh Air with Terry Gross. This is Fresh Air. Let's get back to my interview with filmmaker Guillermo del Toro. He wrote and directed the new film Frankenstein, a new interpretation of the story inspired by Mary Shelley's 1818 novel. He also loves the 1931 film, which starred Boris Karloff as the creature. He first saw it when he was 7. Also, we have 2 Frankenstein films, because technically we have Bride of Frankenstein, which is Maggie Gyllenhaal's film, and then we have Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Big year for Frankenstein films. Himmlers, thank you for the bits. You could say in some ways that like the creature in Frankenstein is like artificial intelligence, because he's created by man but then lives on its own and can destroy man, you know, without even understanding quite what he's doing. So, what are your thoughts about AI? And did that kind of inform the movie in any way? And then Del Toro says, it did and it didn't. It didn't in the sense that my concern is not artificial intelligence, but natural stupidity. I think that's what drives most of the world's worst teachers. But I did want to have the arrogance of Victor be similar in some ways to the tech bros, you know? He's kind of blind, creating something without considering the consequences, you know? And I think we have to take... I'm not doing a Spanish accent. No, this is my Spanish accent. And I think we have to take a pause and consider where we're going. If you have to teach an AI to think in ones and zeros, you know, oh my God, I would love for a generation to get raising kids right one time. In the entire history of mankind, there hasn't been a single generation that was raised right all across the globe. And I think that's our biggest failure in a way, you know? Ones and zeros don't get the alchemy that you get with emotion and experience. You get the information, but you don't get the alchemy of emotion, spirituality, and feeling. And yes, Mexican Spanish accent, sorry, to be clear. I'm not saying it's impossible to replicate, but we have it readily available with the next generation of children. And that's why the painful thing that Jacob Elordi and Victor enact is a father and son relationship that's very relatable in the film. Very relatable and very moving by the end. Terry Gross, did you take advantage of any AI in making Frankenstein? Del Toro, AI, particularly generative AI, I'm not interested, nor will I ever be interested. I'm 61 and I hope to be able to remain uninterested in using it at all until I croak. Terry Gross, Del Toro, I really don't. The other day, somebody wrote me an email, said, what is your stance on AI? And my answer was very short. I said, I'd rather die. Terry Gross, oh, those are strong words. Del Toro, not for me. I'm Mexican. I think Terry Gross. Del Toro, but I think, Terry, that even when a human sings a song that has already been recorded 6-7 times, they're filtering their experience, their life. I often think of, Johnny Cash singing Hurt, the Trent Reznor song, and making it entirely his own. Or Joe Crocker singing the Beatles. That's not a version. That's not remixing. That is filtering through alchemical pain and experience a work of art into making it your own. He's so funny. He just goes, I'd rather die. Filmmaker Guillermo del Toro says, I'd rather die than use generative AI. You know what? That's the kind of drama that I'm looking for. That's the kind of drama that I'm all about. When somebody asks Guillermo del Toro, would you ever use generative AI? And he goes, I'd rather die. And then he says down here, he goes, well, Terry Gross says, well, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think about, his eternal life is hell. The creature's alone and he wants to end his tormented life, but he can't. There's no one in the world who's like him. And Dr. Frankenstein refuses to make a companion for him. And the creature says there was only one remedy for pain, death. And you took that away from me too. After the creature survived something that other people assume would have killed him, he says, there was silence and then merciless life. I felt lonelier than ever. So when you think of eternal life, do you think that that's torment? Del Toro, oh, I do. I'm a huge fan of death. Del Toro says, I would rather die than use generative AI. And also, I'm a huge fan of death. And then he continues on. I'm a groupie for death. I think it's the metronome of our existence. And without rhythm, there's no melody, It's the metronome of death that makes us value the compass of the beautiful music, I'm going to say this comes when my father was taken, every day was torment. And I used to see the sun rising and resent it. And I said, the sun doesn't care about my pain. But then eventually I realized it was my pain that didn't care about the sun and that I needed to change that I needed to accept it. I needed to understand the rhythm of the cosmos is different than that of my little heart, Sam Altman stuck in a room with Miyazaki or Del Toro. Please, I need that. I need Sam Altman to be stuck in a room with the two of them. I just honestly, you know what, too? And you watch his films and you get this sense. You get this sense that Del Toro doesn't view death as this horrifying, terrifying thing, which I think can bring comfort to people. You know, he's talking about where he's like, look, death is part of life. And no matter who you are, death comes for all of us. It is a natural part of life. It's the metronome of our existence. And without rhythm, there's no melody, you know? And I think too, I don't know. I mean, now I'm going to get philosophical here. Do you guys ever think about dying? Now we'll talk about death for a sec. There is something about when you look at death as a part of life in this way, I think it can help you appreciate. I think it helps you appreciate life and all of these moments. And I know we say, like, don't take it for granted. Find appreciation in the small things. You know, find value in being alive from the little moments. But I think that's true. And I think especially when shit feels hard, which is often, and it's really exhausting being alive. I think to try and recalibrate and try and try and find ways to still appreciate being alive and not just totally dread, like have existential dread at the thought of death. I'm not scared of dying necessarily. I'm just scared of eventually losing my older family members. Totally. I feel that too. I think that's me as well. I think I've never really had existential dread or thought, maybe even thought too deeply of my own mortal existence. But I think it is more of the people in my life. But then it makes me go, I want to spend more time with those people. I want to not waste the time that I have. I'm more scared of becoming incapable or less aware than dying. I also agree with that. I think what's scary is the thought of losing your ability to remember and to, I think maybe slowing down, you know. I do want to spend more time with my parents, but they're hogs. Anywho, that's just a little bit that I wanted to read from this Del Toro interview. I'll probably just go and listen to the entire thing. But I love it. I'd rather die than use generative AI. And it does feel, isn't it sad that feels so uncommon now? It just feels like, have you seen Kronos? Yes, I have. I've seen most of his work. Anyway, in regards to AI, it really does feel like rare now that you have an artist, you know, a great filmmaker go, I reject this. I reject this. I will not be using this. This will not be a part of my work and my life. Because, man, it just feels like more and more that's not the take. That's not the vibe people are putting out. Chat, it's actually a beautiful world out there despite all the shit we see and hear every day. It's greedy and senseless people that trick us into thinking the world is shit that we aren't worth fighting for. Yeah, and I know it can feel so overwhelming and so bad a lot of the times, but also there is a lot of beauty. You know, there is a lot. There is a lot to appreciate, but also I think that only reinforces the desires, the needs to make there be less suffering in life, because it is and can be very beautiful, you know? I don't know. I took Farley on a walk today, and just little things that made me happy. The crunch of his paws under leaves, fallen leaves, the smells in the air, little breeze, that kind of thing. Watching him be so happy. It's really cheesy, but a lot of times if I'm in a bad headspace, seeing how happy he is to be outside makes me happy. He's so happy. The little moments add up even while in hell. I know. And all we can do is try and seek out those good moments. We gotta, you know?
Also tonight's in
Life is exhausting and pain, but it also brings joy to the momentary moments of comfort and joy that you can experience. I'm more afraid of losing my ability to remember and losing my ability to move as I age, which I think is common. Has anybody watched the show Task? Anybody watch Task with Mark Ruffalo? I will say, when I watched the Mark Ruffalo interview with Mehdi Hassan on stream, it did influence me to go watch the show. So I watched the whole thing. If Mark Ruffalo isn't nominated for an Emmy, what are we doing here? I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was good. I think Tom Pelphrey is an underrated, amazing actor. Tom Pelphrey, who you may know from if you watched Ozark. And Mark is really, really lovely in the show. And anyway, the finale, which I finally watched last night, he has this speech. No spoilers. No spoilers. But there's a speech that I also was like, that's the Emmy speech right there. And it made me cry. It made me cry. And I don't want to take, that's crazy. I really disliked Mark in the show. I think, okay, here's what I will say. I definitely was much more interested in the non-Task characters. I just was more drawn to that, more interested. But I think Mark really got me, especially the second half of the show. But just this speech in particular, because it's not at all the same context as to what we're talking about, but kind of that dichotomy of like pain, but also joy. You know, this really painful, emotionally painful thing that happened. But even with that being the case, remembering how much joy there was as well. And I just thought it was really good. I just thought it was a really, really well written and beautifully performed speech. It's the same creator as Mare of Easttown. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for reminding me to finish the season tonight. You got it. They both should be nominated. Yeah, I just think Tom Pelphrey should probably be nominated in everything he's in. He's so good. He's one of those actors, when I see him pop up in something, I'm like, I need more Tom Pelphrey. I need more of him. What was the name of the show? It's called Task. It just came out. It just came out recently. It's on HBO Max. I think the weakest part of the show is his family life stuff, but they bring it around at the end of the season. Yeah, it's kind of this thing that's hovering over, and they don't really go into the details of it till the end, and that's why I think filling in the gaps there really helped. And I don't know, I just love the speech. I loved Lizzie. I loved Lizzie. Maeve, really loved Maeve. Really love Maeve. I do. You know what? That was actually a show that I wish it had been a little bit longer. I enjoyed it. Are you going to watch the It prequel? Probably. I mean, I watch pretty much everything horror that comes out. Okay, next story we are going to take a look at is a troubling one, I will say. It is a troubling one. It has to do with the ex-NFL running back Doug Martin, who died while he was in police custody, and there's little information about it. And they keep talking about his struggles with mental illness and keep emphasizing that like he was in a psychotic episode and that they're going to study his brain. His brain is going to go to a research center and they're going to look for CTE. But it's strange because he died in police custody, but there's still not details about what happened. And I do feel like I have not really seen people discussing this. It's a story that's been breaking this week, so it's new, but there just seem to be questions here. And the family, so Doug Martin's agent, Brian Murphy, released a statement on behalf of the family. I'll read it here. For immediate release, Athletes First and CEO Brian Murphy issue statement on behalf of Doug Martin's family. Athletes First and CEO Brian Murphy had the privilege of representing Doug Martin when he was selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round of the 2012 NFL Draft following a stellar career at Boise State University. Doug Martin's distinguished NFL career, including 2 Pro Bowl appearances and a 2015 All-Pro honor, was celebrated by countless fans. Off the field, he was deeply committed to serving the communities of Boise, Idaho, Stockton, and Oakland, California, where his generosity and spirit were well known. Privately, Doug battled mental health challenges that profoundly impacted his personal and professional life. Ultimately, mental illness proved to be the one opponent from which Doug could not run. Following recent media reports about Doug's untimely passing, the family wishes to clarify the circumstances. Doug's parents were actively seeking medical assistance for him, and they contacted local authorities for support. Feeling overwhelmed and disoriented, Doug fled his home during the night and entered a neighbor's residence 2 doors down, where he was taken into custody by police. An investigation into what transpired as he was detained is underway. The family requests privacy as they navigate this heartbreaking loss. So it is very sad, and also, of course, raises questions as to what happened when he was taken into custody, because it says here, prior to his death, Martin was involved in a break-in at a residence in Oakland. While responding officers were attempting to detain him, a brief struggle occurred. After being taken into custody, Martin became unresponsive. He died thereafter approximately 4:15 a.m. local time Saturday. How old was he? He was 36 years old. So he was a running back for 7 seasons in the NFL. He played college for Boise State and then was selected to be, he was selected first round draft pick in 2012 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Breaking news just into us here in just the last hour or so on the death of an ex-NFL Pro Bowl running back. Police now say Doug Martin was involved in a break-in at a home in Oakland, and that when officers tried to detain him, he struggled and then became unresponsive when he was taken into custody. They say he died after being moved to a local hospital. Martin was 36 years old. Steve Patterson is following this one. There are some questions around the circumstances related to Martin's death. Steve, what are we learning?
Many questions, but certainly the breaking news here is the identity of the person who died in police custody, something we were trying to confirm since the story broke, really. The police now confirming that this is, in fact, former NFL star Doug Martin. I want to give you the TikTok of what police have been telling us, which is, as you mentioned, there is a call for a break-in. Simultaneously, there is the call for the person who broke in of having a medical emergency. Police arrive on scene. That person still having that medical emergency. They describe what they say is a brief struggle with the suspect following police custody and a brief detention. The person starts struggling, becomes unresponsive, taken to a local hospital where
Okay, but I think the question is, how did he become unresponsive? What are the details of this struggle which led to him becoming unresponsive and then died?
Fortunately dies. You see the statement on screen. It really confirms the details that we have. We've tried to find out more from maybe is the family talking about this. Nothing from them yet except the wish for them to honor some privacy. Also, though, hearing from the NFL, certainly offering their condolences, as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lauding this person's achievement. Just 36 years old in his rookie season, ran for 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns.
And I feel like a lot of what I've seen in the media, like kind of an emphasis on his struggles with drug addiction, his mental illness struggles, which are all, I think, important things to talk about. And yet it's like overshadowing the fact that he died in custody, which I think there need to be answers here. Like there needs to be clarification. I know an investigation is underway, but I guess I'm just saying, like, what I've seen in looking up this story is just over and over again, like, about the crisis that he was experiencing at the end of his life and his struggles with mental illness. OPD actively covered a man being lynched in the Oakland Hills this summer as a suicide. I don't trust shit they saying. Yeah, I mean, I think there's good reason to be raising an eyebrow and going, so another black man experiencing a mental health crisis died in police custody.
Certainly somebody that will be missed by the NFL community as police continue their investigation. By the way, we should say officers, of course, placed on administrative leave per the investigation. That's standard procedure, as we know, as police continue to find out what happened here. It's something we're pushing for. Hallie?
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated.
Okay, and then let me just watch this. Brain of NXL.
You get to that mountaintop that you've always dreamt of, but no one has ever dreamt of what happens after getting to the top.
After reaching his mountaintop as a Super Bowl champion, 8-year NFL vet Dwayne Allen now works with the league's Players Association, helping athletes navigate life after football.
Transitions are hard, right? It's not just those who have played in the National Football League, but all high achievers, right?
The death of former NFL player Doug Martin while in Oakland police custody has sparked community outcry and a renewed focus on mental health in sports. The Mercury News reports that Martin's brain will be examined for CTE, a degenerative disease linked to repeated head trauma. It's a condition that can only be diagnosed after death.
CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy, it's a diagnosis.
Yeah, which is one reason too that I think there's still a lack of general awareness and understanding around CTE, because they can only examine their brains after they've died, obviously.
Diagnosis that can only be made after an individual dies.
A study that came out last year, a study of former NFL players finds 1 in 3 believe that they have CTE based on the conditions that they have, which mimic CTE's cognitive symptoms, the thoughts, thoughts and feelings of suicide, because it's not possible yet to confirm whether or not a living person has CTE. So essentially it's knowing what the conditions, what symptoms of CTE would look like, and then it being a matter of like kind of just guessing if CTE is if a former NFL player, current NFL player has symptoms like that, then most likely they have CTE.
Based on findings from examining brain tissue.
A 2023 study from Boston University found that 40% of athletes who died before age 30 had CTE. But doctors say head trauma isn't limited to sports.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of much needed research to be done.
So there's a lot of mysteries about brain function brain dysfunction, brain injury that we really, really need to understand, develop new technology and dedicate resources to studying these problems. And yes, I think certainly athletics, there's been a spotlight on it.
Until we know more, Alan wants athletes to know there are resources.
If you are struggling with mental health, with physical health, also through the trust, there's a brain and body assessment, right? Like if you have 2 years of service in the NFL, every 5 years they will send you to one of Cleveland Clinic's. They will check everything for you so that you can be on the forefront of your health and hopefully intersect tragedy before it gets too unbearable.
Francis Wang, ABC 7.
Yeah, I mean, this is so alarming. Researchers find CTE in 345 of 376 former NFL players studied. That's like all of them, 91.7%. Among those diagnosed in the last year are 2 former players who once represented the teams paired in this Sunday's Super Bowl matchup, former Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Rick Arrington and former Kansas City Chiefs defensive tackle Ed Lothamer, who played for the Chiefs in the very first Super Bowl and was a member of their winning team. For comparison, a 2018 Boston University study of 164 brains of men and women donated to the Framingham Heart Study found that only one of 164.6% had CTE. The lone CTE case was a former college football player. The extremely low population rate of CTE is in line with similar studies from brain banks in Austria, Australia, and Brazil. The NFL player data should not be interpreted to suggest that 91.7% of all current and former NFL players have CTE, as brain bank samples are subject to selection biases. The prevalence of CTE among NFL players is unknown, as CTE can only be definitively diagnosed after death. Repetitive head impacts appear to be the chief risk factor for CTE, which is characterized by misfolded tau protein that is unlike changes observed from aging, Alzheimer's disease, or any other brain disease. While the most tragic outcomes in individuals with CTE grab headlines, we want to remind people at risk for CTE that those experiences are in the minority. Your symptoms, whether or not they are related to CTE, likely can be treated, and you should seek medical care. Our clinical team has success treating former football players with midlife mental health and other symptoms. There was a young player for the 49ers who retired 2 seasons into his career because he didn't want to get CTE. Yeah, imagine that, where it's like, okay, I either keep playing professional football or I risk my chances of having CTE, which football, I will be... Football is a short period of time versus the rest of your life having CTE. You ever think about the people who don't make it to the pros but get close and so they can get all the damage and none of the money? Yeah. Yeah. Which sucks. It sucks on a different level, too. Gerald McCoy reflects on Doug Martin's death, the 5th of his former NFL teammates. It's been a painful month for Gerald McCoy. Death has overshadowed the former 3-time All-Pro defensive tackle at seemingly every turn, testing his spirit. On October 3rd, former Ravens defensive lineman Arthur Jones died. He was only 39. No cause of death was released, though Jones had faced health issues in recent years. Jones and McCoy were part of the 2010 NFL draft class and trained together for the combine, forever bonded by the prospect of Sunday stardom. On October 15th, McCoy's uncle passed away. Then on Saturday, news broke that his former Tampa Bay teammate Doug Martin had died in the custody of Oakland police. He was 36. Are there any studies on the presenting mental health diagnosis for those then passing and being found to have CTE? Yes. So that's why, like, basically there can be a reasonable assertion that somebody has CTE without being able to actually examine their brains, because you can't do that until they die. So you can't diagnose officially CTE while someone is still alive. What are the diagnoses that they have then dying? Do you mean, okay, symptoms, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is CTE, is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain found in people with a history of repetitive head impacts often incurred during contact sport play, military service, employed as a first responder, and other activities that involve repeated blows to the head. These may include symptomatic concussions as well as non-concussive hits that do not cause symptoms. Non-concussive hits are routine in many sports, including checking in ice hockey and heading the ball in soccer. CTE has been known to affect boxers since the 1920s. How is it diagnosed? At this time, CTE can only be diagnosed after death by postmortem neuropathological analysis. Right now, there's no known way to use MRI, CT, PT, or SPECT or other brain imaging methods to definitively diagnose CTE. But you can basically, doctors would look at the symptoms, which include memory loss, aggression, either from, mild all the way to severe, depression, headaches. So there's stage 1, and then there's stage 2, and then there's stage 3, and then there's stage 4. So stage 1, short-term memory loss, mild aggression, headaches. Stage 2, severe depression, outbursts, and mood swings. Stage 3, aggression, apathy, memory loss, loss of spatial awareness, executive dysfunction. Stage 4 is more severe stage 3 symptoms, plus paranoia, difficulty with language, and muscle movement. What was stage 1 again? Short-term memory loss, mild aggression and depression, and headaches. Okay, so Martin was the 5th former NFL teammate of McCoy's to die before the age of 40. That is really sad. You don't want to get to a point where you become numb to it. McCoy, 37, told The Athletic. It's just hard to deal with, and it's unbelievable that this keeps happening. He shared his distress on social media after the news of Martin's death. Man, that's the 5th teammate I've lost. Yeah, I'm done for the day. Y'all go check on y'all people, man. The list is heavy. Gino Hayes, 33, liver disease. Daniel Teo Neshim, 30, overdose. Mike Williams, 36, bacterial sepsis. Vincent Jackson, 38, chronic alcohol use. And now Martin, whose cause of death has yet to be released as an investigation continues. And you can see here too, I mean, I don't want to assume, but liver disease, overdose, chronic alcohol use, these are causes of death that often go hand in hand with mental health struggles, where people turn to substances, abuse those substances, form addictions. Martin, we know, was struggling with coke and methamphetamine. McCoy played with all of them in Tampa Bay. In addition, one of his former college teammates at Oklahoma, Austin Box, died of an opioid overdose in 2011 at 22. And Gaines Adams, who was a Buccaneers defensive lineman, died of a heart condition at 26 in January 2010, just months before the team drafted McCoy. Tio, Nashim, and Jackson were diagnosed with CTE posthumously. So 2 people who both struggled, who both died due to overdose and chronic alcohol use, who also had CTE. Martin's former agent, Brian Murphy, released a statement that Martin's parents were seeking help for him in the hours before his death. Jackson's death may have been the most agonizing for McCoy. In 2021, Jackson was found unresponsive in a hotel room in Brandon, Florida. The official cause of death was determined to be chronic alcohol use. He was later diagnosed with stage 2 CTE, and stage 2 is characterized by severe depression, outbursts, and mood swings. Jackson, nicknamed the Ultimate Pro in Tampa Bay's locker room, was one of the first players to show McCoy the difference between being a professional and being a pro. He was also one of his closest friends. I already read this, but I can read it again. This was the statement that his parents released about Doug Martin. Doug's parents were actively seeking medical assistance for him and had contacted local authorities for support. Feeling overwhelmed and disoriented, Doug fled his home during the night and entered a neighbor's residence 2 doors down, where he was taken into custody by police. An investigation into what transpired as he was detained is underway. Space Cadet, thank you for the 15 months. The article doesn't seem to mention it, but a new diagnostic trial is literally in its final phase of being able to identify CTE in patients by identifying a buildup of tau proteins, which have been directly correlated to CTE diagnoses in deceased patients. So we're really close to having a definitive way to identify CTEs in living people. Yeah, and then I guess it's a matter of like getting better at preventing CTE. So it's not just the diagnosis of CTE while somebody is still alive, like an official diagnosis, but then prevention. The issue is that it's not even the large concussion-causing hits that cause CTE. It's all the small little bangs, falls, and other impacts that accumulate, and that's really hard to avoid even with better helmet tech. Yeah, it's really terrible. It's so terrible. And the fact that a lot of people who are in the capacity where you are, any capacity where you're like being hit in the head and repeatedly, and the likelihood of having a neurodegenerative condition that is lifelong. It's a brain disease. Because what happens is the nerve cells, so the nerve cells in your brain that help you think, that help you feel, that help you move, those start breaking down. And when those cells start breaking down and stop working, that's when people can experience a change in personality. That's when they are no longer able to control, have muscle and memory and motor control. And what's unique to CTE is that the cell breakdown is caused by recurring head trauma. And then it's compounded by age, by genetics. And so it's especially why older athletes and veterans are at higher risk. You know, so it's like you think about it and it's like you think about veterans who have not just like the PTSD, not just dealing with PTSD symptoms, but on top of that may have undiagnosed CTE. And that then contributing to just overwhelming struggles with mental health, mental illness. And it's just bad. My brother really lost his ability to recognize when he was injured or unwell after his concussions. It wouldn't even register to him. It was a scary time. I have an uncle who was a professional football player in the 70s. He was actually one of the first former NFL players to win a settlement from the NFL. And a lot of his buddies died. They died by suicide. They died in really tragic ways. And my aunt was really instrumental in fighting that lawsuit against the NFL. But he basically he medicates. He's had a medical marijuana card for years now, and he just smokes a bunch of weed all day in his apartment, in their apartment. Doesn't really go to many social events. And I remember too when I was a kid being like, why is he's really scary and seems really unfriendly, and then it turns out that he has CTE. And he just kind of needs to be left alone. I mean, the weed chills him out. It does. It helps. One thing that is absolutely nuts working in a neuro unit is the smell patients emit when their brain is damaged. It's a sickly sweet smell that when you smell it once, you recognize it instantly. Oh, God. Oh, my God. I had no idea. Repetitive injury to the brain can contribute to further damage. And yeah, some injuries you sustain could potentially be worse than others. Thus, why when you get a concussion, they want you awake because they're concerned for potential brain bleeding. Yeah. I had a friend who had multiple concussions in high school from rugby, and it changed him drastically. And doctors warned him at the time if he got another one, he would have permanent brain damage, but it was already done. Sadly, I don't know what happened to him after high school. It's really sad. But yeah, so that's a pretty usually a pretty definitive sign of CTE is the personality change, right? And then just more, aggressiveness. It's really challenging. After Jackson's death, one sentiment echoed across group chats and phone calls among former Buccaneers: utter disbelief. How he carried himself in the building, how he did interviews, how he practiced, how he took care of his body, how he was with his family, everything. That's who VJack was. So when we lost him, it was like not him of all people. He was Captain America. So that one hit us probably the hardest. McCoy had stayed in touch with Williams, speaking with him not too long before he died. He said Williams was up and up, and weeks later he was gone. McCoy hadn't spoken with Martin in some time, but had talked with former Panthers teammate George Iloka, who had just seen him. He said he had the biggest grin on his face, the biggest smile, just full of life like Doug always was. Doug loved to dance. He loved to tell jokes. He loved to have a great time. But few saw the storm brewing behind his grin. In McCoy's experience, most people never do. It's not the loss of wealth that haunts athletes, he said. It's the loss of identity, the emptiness left when the game is gone. You're on top of the world. You get put on a pedestal. You get put in a routine, and that becomes a part of who you are. That's all you know when you do it for long enough. Then you retire, and all the fame is gone. Your identity has been tied to this game, and you find out after you're done playing, you don't even know who you are as a person. You get lost. That's where you see the depression. That's where you see the substance abuse. That's where you see people start making all these bad decisions. It's not just the loss of self, but also the reason they play sports to begin with that torments former athletes, according to the 2010 third overall pick from Oklahoma. To run for a touchdown, sack a quarterback, hit a home run, score a goal, or hit a three-pointer is an unmatched adrenaline rush, he said. To bathe in the adulation of thousands of fans every week is something that can't be replicated. I mean, I gotta be so for real. I've always thought to myself, if I had a kid, that kid will be playing something like tennis. If they want to play a sport, I'll be like, you like pickleball? We're a pickleball family. I just really would be so I would be very, how about swimming? Chess, perhaps? I mean, aside from theater, obviously. No child of mine is not doing theater. Will had a friend, I think Will had a friend when he was in high school who died on the field playing football. It was horrible. This all-American, all-star kid who died on the field. And then that also happened when I was in high school. It was not like at a high school game. It was this guy who had been, I think he was playing college ball by that point, but he had been a big high school football star, and they were practicing and he died. How did he die? He got hit. He got hit so hard, and it was really, really tragic and traumatizing. I'm talking about Will's friend on his football team who died. And then I think about the guy who hit him, and it was an accident, of course, I mean, it's like an accident, not an accident, because that's how you do it in football, but obviously he wasn't like, I'm going to kill this person. As someone with a kid who plays ice hockey, it's understandable why a lot of kids stop playing in travel clubs once they start checking around age 13. Yeah, where you're like, you know what? Not worth it. Aiden L, thank you for the 7 months. I just want people to understand it's tougher on us when we're done playing than you guys think. It may seem like it's all glamorous. Look at the life you got to live. Yeah, but mental illness is a real thing, and people struggle mentally after playing this game. It ain't just football, it's pro sports, period. Nothing can give you that high. So when it's gone, the cheers are gone, the competition is gone, the routine is gone. You get in this lost space, and it happens to a lot of athletes, man, and I just hope that wasn't what happened to Doug. The second half of his social media post was the message he hoped people would hear. Y'all go check on y'all people. He's followed his own plea, calling former teammates, checking in on anyone whose number he still has, including current Buccaneers stars Levante David and Mike Evans. Evans left Monday night's 24-9 loss to the Detroit Lions with a concussion and a broken collarbone. It was his first game back after injuring his hamstring in week 3. God. McCoy, who played 9 seasons with the Bucs and also suited up for the Raiders, said he's found peace and faith and understanding himself. While he believed he had more left in the tank, injuries forced him off the field. His healing began with the truth he's always known. Football was something he did, not who he was. I found out a long time ago the difference in talents and gifts. I had a talent for playing football. It wasn't my gift. My gift is communication and being able to impart on people whatever it is, whether I was a captain on the football field or whether I'm in the media. McCoy, who's now an analyst for NFL Network, has been lucky enough to find his purpose away from the field that's fulfilled him. He, maybe painfully more than most, knows that not everyone finds their gift outside of the sporting arena. I fear that for a lot of people, the game becomes who they are. When they lose that, they lose a piece of themselves and start searching for it. Dude, I can't believe Mike Evans had been injured, came back first game, and then gets a concussion and breaks his collarbone. Why? Austin Show is calling me. Hold on a second. Hello, Austin Show. I'm streaming.
Austin Show from the Fear and Podcast. It's Austin Show.
Austin Show from the Fear and Podcast.
Hey, Caroline, how are you? You streaming?
Yes, I'm actually just talking about, I've been talking about football, actually.
Oh, you mean how my team just got absolutely fucking destroyed in front of me live?
I am so sorry.
I went to a SoFi Stadium with Will Neff, who I love and adore. And he sat there and rooted for the Chargers the entire game.
Wait, Will rooted for the Chargers the whole game?
No, it was actually hilarious because, he wasn't, he went into the stadium, semi-neutral. But then, all of a sudden, he was doing the stadium chants.
Oh, my God, he's such a brat. He's such a brat.
He wasn't even trying to. He wasn't even trying to rub my nose in it. No,
he was just caught. He was just caught up in
He
it.
was just caught in the moment. No, he was just caught in the moment. Like he was just
Uh-huh.
caught in the moment. He loves to win. And look, we had the best time ever.
Oh, it's
We had the
so.
best time ever. Will bought me a 24-ounce Modelo.
Oh.
And I had to finish the whole fucking thing. He made me do it.
I
finished the whole thing.
I don't know if I've ever seen you drink beer.
That was a really hard thing to drink, by the way.
It's a Modelo.
It was really fucking hard to drink. Like, I kept drinking it, and it would not go away from the can. It felt like it was the endless beer.
It's a light beer.
I was drinking it for like an hour and a half. I could not finish it at all.
Oh my God.
It was so difficult.
Well, did it make the pain of the Vikings getting absolutely wiped? Did it make it a little bit better?
Will numbed the pain because he bought me a churro and some Dippin' Dots.
Aww.
Which is so sweet. And
Aww.
I can never buy stuff for him. He always beats me with his credit card. He's so quick to the draw.
Austin.
He's such a.
Austin,
I try.
Have you not learned by now that his love language is gifting? That he loves he loves to buy people food. He loves to take care of them that way.
I know, but I do too, but I have such an aversion to spending money.
Well, that's the problem. You hate spending money, but you want to.
No, I hate spending money, but I always want to treat people. So it's this weird combination.
You just have to take him to a nice dinner. You take him to a nice dinner, and then
he keeps inviting me places. I invited him to the football game, got him a ticket, and he still bought stuff for me. I couldn't avoid it.
Oh, well, that's no. That's you bought the tickets, so I'm gonna buy you a churro and a.
I wanted it to be an all expenses. I bought him a hot dog. I bought him a water and a beer. And then after that, I lost control, and he was sitting closest to the aisle. And the guy came down. He was fucking. Every time somebody came down, I looked the other way, and all of a sudden, Will would have another beer and a churro for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We have a question in chat. Ask.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think of your team getting rid of Darnold and Jones in the offseason, and now you're dealing with Carson Wentz, who has one arm?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look. I mean, I think that. It was such a mistake to get rid of Sam Darnold. I mean, he did choke in the playoffs, but I mean, for $35 million, you went 14-2. He won so many clutch games. You don't get a quarterback like that in the NFL that often, and it's very sad to see what happened. You put your future, your team's future, in the hands of a kid that has never played before.
Wait,
in the NFL.
Are the playoffs aren't happening now, right? Or are they?
No. Not till,
so this is just
January.
This is regular season. Okay, so you were talking about playoffs last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
So last season they lost Sam Darnold, and it was just, it is what it is. But happened. Caroline, I need to tell you something real quick. It's good news, but you have to mute.
Oh.
Real briefly.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna say nothing, but we might be so back. we might be so back is all I'm gonna say. But you know what? This is why I should never say anything ever, because it just from it's so over to ni hao. I should just never say anything, because we're down and then we're up and then we're down and then we're up and then we're down and then we're up, down, up, down, up, down, up. But I may need to take some Chinese lessons. Does it rhyme with China? You know what? I'm just not going to say anything ever again. I will never speak. But that's the thing too. This is why I can't get emotional about stuff. I can't get emotional about stuff with these streamers, because things are always changing. Things are always in flux. So if I get emotional, then I waste that energy being emotional. So I just go, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. That kind of energy. Domino's Pizza, thank you for the tier 1. Juicy, thank you for the prime. So we'll see. We shall see. And does it rhyme with book your plane tickets? Maybe. It may be. Hassan and Austin were very vocally saying about how they're going to go to China next month. Yeah, it's so funny to me that these boys say things so definitively, even when there's like major issues, even when like things aren't getting done that need to get done. He was talking about meeting Yao Ming earlier tonight. Even when it's like people fuck up their paperwork, people fuck up their passports being expired. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand these men. I don't understand these men. They really like don't get, I don't know. I don't understand these men. No, I don't even think it's manifesting. No, that's way too much credit. It's way too much credit to be like, they're just manifesting. No, they're just dummies. No, they're dummies. You'd be like, hey, when I told Will, hey, make sure that you don't have an expired passport within 6 months. It's going to be a problem. Oh, okay. And then that turns out to be the case. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up? Like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm like, what does that mean? But then this is what's annoying. But then it can get figured out. And you just go, this is what unmedicated ADHD looks like, by the way. Yeah, I guess. It's the innate man confidence, because shit so often goes their way. Only men can be that confident. It's really something. It's really something. They don't plan. They're not organized. Waiting to the last. And the whole thing with China, we were like, hey, this is going to be a big trip. We need to plan this months in advance. And now we're sitting here with the plan of trying to go to China still in 2 weeks. It's crazy. It's crazy. Wait, she put out another new song?
I need a surfboard. just gotta ride it out, get it all out. When you're not mine, am I allowed? When I was secret, you kept me. Skinny divorcee, do you regret me? I'm thinking, baby.
I love how much music she's dropping.
Should we go back, stay friends, keep all the benefits? Could sneak around like we're on tour, even if that's all you want me for. You could call me Miss Petramore, 'cause I miss you like I miss the rage, like I miss real ink on the page. Who knew, my baby? Who knew the hard times for the good old days? I miss you, miss kissing your face, listen out to music we made. Who knew, my baby? Who knew the hard times were the good old days? Have to get it out of my system. Don't like songs about you, don't listen. If I'm being honest, I'm almost done.
Oh, the physical album's coming out next week.
I'm not Stevie, I won't hex you, but my
I've been listening to a lot of Haley this last
voice
week.
may surely vex you. For that, I'm sorry. I just wanna love you, but you won't let me. 'Cause I miss you like I miss the rage, like I miss real ink.
You've heard Twitter posts?
Who knew, my baby? Who knew the hard times were the good old days? I miss you, miss kissing your face, listen out to music we made. Who knew, my baby? Who knew the hard times were the good old days?
You are so tacky. I think that's why I love you so much. I just had to call
Why
you
did I
first
spend
on
money
my
on an
phone.
ID replacement instead
I
of this
love you. Y'all
album?
Have a blast. Bye.
Secret love, secret love, secret love. What's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name?
Have you listened to the new Tame Impala album? I don't listen to a lot of Tame. Lizzie, thank you for the 24 months. Who knew? Do you like the beaches? Yeah. Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm thinking we do something silly. Since it is since we're in Halloween time. We're in Halloween time, and last year I think we watched some silly stuff in addition to the once a week film class, and I think it was last year that we did 13 Days of Elvira. We watched an episode. That is when we watched Ginger Dead Man, and when I was at the con, one of our community members specifically mentioned Ginger Dead Man and said that was one of my favorite streams that we ever did. That was peak. And a lot of times when we watch stuff on the stream, it's usually not stuff like Ginger Dead Man. It's an exception to the rule. Like we've done that, Titanic 666. Real D level F. Well, I mean, Ginger Dead Man's a classic. Okay, let me just say. Yeah, not the usual fare that we watch. Was it last year or the year before that you will watch Rocky Horror on stream? That was like 3 years ago, because it has not been available since then. So I was like, let's watch another episode of Elvira's 13 Nights of Elvira, because I am an Elvira girly. I do love me some Elvira, and we've watched both of her films already. So we are going to watch the episode called Puppet Master of 13 Nights of Elvira. It's season 1, episode 2. Puppet Master. It will surely be cheesy and campy and bad in all the best ways. I can't remember if I've seen this because when I worked for Screenbox, I watched a bunch of Elvira stuff when I used to work for Screenbox back in the day. So I can't remember if I've seen this one or not. But if you don't know this series, so Elvira hosts it's basically she hosts these B movies, these cheesy campy horror movies, and has a little introduction in the beginning and then kind of pops up here and there. And it's 13 of them. And we watched one last year, which was Ginger Dead Man. You probably have seen Puppet Master. Probably. Is this the Puppet Master movie? I don't know what the Puppet Master movie is. Not quite sure, but yes. Okay, so I guess technically it's a little bit of an impromptu movie night. Whoa. Oh my God, what? Who is she? Excuse me? Excuse me? So if it's an impromptu movie night, I think we need our movie rules. The one called Puppet Master, that's the start of the Puppet Master series. It's not that. It's not that. It's Puppet Master from, I think it's from... what year is this from? It's directed by Jim Kunz. And I think it came out in 1989. Anywho, okay. I pulled up Haley's IG. Oops, sorry. Oops, not that yet. Oops, we're doing movie reels because I have to run to the bathroom. Okay. I'm going to go get a snack. I'll be right back.
You can't beat my meat for a special treat. Sucking on me is really neat.
Don't be a jerk and don't be a fool. Be a good neighbor and follow these rules. What are these rules? Remember to keep your shoes on at all times. Don't pull your penis out unless you really need to. Indecent exposure is a class 2 felony.
What's up, Spookalooka? Just watch your coverage of JKR and Keira Knightley being transphobic. Yeah. What is up with these celebrities? Welcome in. Okay. So, permission to pack the bong. Honestly, here's what I will say. I think this is one of those that you pack the bong extra for. I just cracked open a high noon. It's time to watch the classic known as Puppet Master, hosted by the queen herself, Elvira. 13 Nights of Elvira. Puppet Master. KXM Choi, thank you for the 6 months.
But fortunately, they were all unpleasant dreams.
Wow, that is the great and glorious Puppet Master, episode 2 of 13 Nights of Elvira. Are we watching all 13? I don't know. We've watched the classics so far. We watched Ginger Dead Man. We watched Puppet Master. So that happened. Yeah, what a piece of cinema, you know? What a piece of cinema. And then there's Puppet Master 2, and then there's Puppet Master 3, and apparently that's when they take on the Nazis. Soul Boot. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. They really don't make them like that anymore. They don't. Okay, so fun impromptu film class with me and Carol. Carol thinks that the puppets, she wasn't really riding with the puppets. She's like, these puppets are fine. They don't have any class like Carol does. She's got some ideas after that movie. No, Carol and I are girls. We're girls. We're girly pops. But also, I treat Carol very well. I'm very kind to her, very generous. No reason whatsoever for her to be mad. We gotta watch more of them. Yeah, I think we may watch some more. Uno momento. Right back. Oh, got bitten by a mosquito. Oh, I knew I got bitten by something. Motherfucker. Are you kidding me? I have flies. I have ants. I got mosquitoes. This is a house of horrors. This is a house of horrors. All right, y'all. That was, I already scratched the shit out of it. I can't help it. What's next? I know I have more bugs than Maya. Okay, let's see. It's 11 o'clock. Let's do a little bit of Soma to round things out. How about that? She's giving variety. We did it all tonight, folks. We had news, we had takes, we had reacts. Got some Soma. We're doing it all. I did it my way. Okay, if you're going night-night or day-day, I think I'll be live tomorrow night. Let me check. Let me check on one thing. I did it my way. Because I think somebody... Ooh, wait. I might go live, but it would be a shorter stream, and then go to a birthday party, perhaps. It's a Halloween birthday party tomorrow night. So, the Halloween parties begin. Okay, so for tomorrow, if you're leaving right now, might go live tomorrow, but it would be a shorter one. And then Saturday, I am not going to be live because I'm going to see Justice and Kay Trinata. I'm doing more music things, which is very exciting. Which is very, very exciting. Okay, why is this not pulling up? Let me see. Hello? Hello, hello. All right, there we go. It's going to be dope. Well, especially because... So, 2 years ago at Coachella, I missed the best set of the weekend, allegedly, which was Justice. And since then, I've never heard the end of it. So, when the opportunity came up to see Justice and Kay Trinata, I was like, I gotta go.